drivers get ready?
I hope so. They're on the front of the grid, Tonitza and Rasmussen. You've got Marcel Kiefer, great qualifying from him in third.
Unsung hero, I'd say. He keeps producing.
Yeah, he was very upset in his last two races, so hopefully he'll be able to get a good result from third on the grid. Again, Patrick Kreutsch again for Mercedes, up in ninth, doing pretty well indeed. And Simon Weigang being picked out for Renault. He didn't do the first two races, but he's been preparing 11 hours a day.
Listen, if you want to be in my gang, get with the Vi gang, because this is his first race in the F1 esports world, and I'm expecting big things from him in Silverstone.
I never get tired of you.
Silverstone.
I never get tired of your puns. I really don't. Brendan Lee down in 16th. Gianfranco Giglioli, the other Ferrari driver, down in 18th. So the Constructors' Championship is wide open at the moment.
It is indeed. Now, listen, from the first season, the second season, Cembulik Bassi, what's happening there? We spoke to him before the show started. He's a driver that we'd expect a little bit more from.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with him. I've kind of just spoken to him, off camera and being like, Jem, what's going on? And he's just like, I'm not quick enough. He kind of says, I haven't put enough time into just purely focusing in on the game, and that shows.
Yeah, we try and show that the personal element, the real story, the real drivers, and get that access. And they are more prepped, more than they've ever been in any race. This is the third year. Excuse me as I spray everywhere over you because of the excitement. $500,000 as a prize pool. I see the pressure. Are you beginning to see the pressure on these guys?
Well, no, not from the first two races. It's been very calm, collected, and we haven't seen too many incidents. So I'm hoping I've just cursed it all, and now we're going to see a crazy Silverstone race.
Okay, so last year, take you back then, Brendan Lee, the man did okay in the last race in Austria, got up to fourth, I believe. So what can we expect from him? He knows how good he is on Silverstone. If he doesn't have the pace, he's going to struggle, but we know the quality's there. Form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah, we had a very difficult Austria, actually. I think it was Canada where he had the second place, which would have given him a bit of a boost. But I don't think mentally he'll be struggling at all. Maybe a little bit, actually, when you think he's so used to winning, and now he's quite a little bit far back. I don't think in terms of pace, just qualifying, he's not seeming to get that right. A two-times F1 Esports champion down in 16th. We would have been wetting our lips last year at the prospect of someone else winning, and now this year he can't seem to get anywhere near the front. So I'd like to see him do well, but maybe not from 16th.
Not from 16th. Where will you be sitting and watching? You'll be with the audience?
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
sit next to you. Perfect. Good. I'm just securing that. I felt like I was back at school then. Right, let's find out what the commentators think. Jack, Davide, Jolyon, what do we make of this race going into it? And Brendan Lee, no success yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for him today, really, starting from 16th on the grid. It's been a really tough season for Lee, although he did well in that last race, didn't he, in Austria? Climbed up the order, but in the end couldn't make it stick. So what are we looking for ahead of Silverstone? Once again, we've got Tonitza and Freddie Rasmussen on the front row.
I'm excited. That front row, this time, we're going to see fireworks.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Freddie's just listened to us do that. And I'm sure if he's not revved up from missing out on those first two, this is going to be the one.
That must be a bit weird for a driver, Davide, that you're sitting there at the start of the race and then you hear everything the media are saying about you. Like, that can't be fun.
Not easy, not easy. Believe me, he needs to try the first lap, just at the start. Do it, because Silverstone is tricky. You have the first right that when you start you can be flat, and then you have a first corner that is immediately aggressive. It can be probably the key of the race, and if you take the leadership, can change everything.
Okay, so let's have a look at this Silverstone circuit. Davide was just describing it beautifully, but now here it is for your eyes. Start, finish straight down into the hairpin at the Vale, and then through the left-hander and out onto the Wellington Straight, round through Luffield. Village, not Vale. Come on, it's Silverstone. I got to get this right, haven't I? But now the tension is building. The final race of the evening, which will take us to the halfway point in the 2019 F1 Esports New Balance season. And this is what it all comes down to. This is why everybody is gathered here today, to see what they can do. The gap at the top of the championship is 20 points between Tonitza and Rasmussen. So if Rasmussen beats Tonitza, that comes down to 13 points. All 5 lights are on. And we're racing at Silverstone. Who's going to get the best start? Patrick Kreutsch has already jumped the start. The Red Bull is looking up the inside as they come into turn 1. Looks like it's a little bit damp conditions potentially at Silverstone as they come up towards the hairpin for the first time, and Rasmussen doesn't quite go for it. There around the outside comes Marcel Kiefer in the racing point, but he's not able to do it. David Tonitza in the Ferrari holds the lead. Rasmussen second, Kiefer third, Berezne fourth, Holtzman fifth, and Rasmussen could be under pressure here from the racing point into Brooklands. Not quite close enough. So Tonitza gets the start and holds the lead. So here we go again.
Here we go again. It was just perfect to Nizza because he started very well. Yeah, he's up the track. He's not completely dry, and it's even more difficult for the driver. But Nizza was just perfect. He started very well, and then he managed the first corner very well. In quali, he showed a great speed to Nizza, being 1/10 and a half faster than everyone else. Today, he's under pressure immediately from Rasmussen.
We're on board with Marcel Kiefer, briefly, who was in third place. Bit of a slide for Daniel Berezne in the Alfa Romeo behind, but now they all tuck in to try and get the slipstream into Stowe corner.
Berezne under a bit of pressure. I think he got wide out of Beckett. I should know Silverstone as well.
Yeah, it's difficult, these corner names, isn't it?
No. So, end of lap 1, Tunitsa ahead of Rasmussen. This is, again, exactly how we left off the last race. Only this one is a little bit more difficult to overtake, in theory. But has Rasmussen had his Weetabix in the brake? Is he going to throw some sort of lunge? He's going to be close already here into Village, but it's a bit too far back probably. Right-hand hairpin. Oh, so close.
Super close. Now we'll get another DRS on the run into Brooklands, and I guess that maybe the positive for Rasmussen is that's somewhere you can get around the outside, which is the line he loves. Here he comes then, opens the DRS, super close to the back of Tunitsa this time, into the left-hander, nothing doing. Kiefer there in third position, fourth for Daniel Berezne, Holtzman in fifth, as we go on board with Rasmussen.
Those corners there, so we've got Village in the loop, the tight right, then the tight left, and then that long run into Brooklands. There will be DRS on the next lap. So if Rasmussen could be there, as he was on this lap, he's surely going to be able to have a good crack passing him outside or inside, because then Luffield leads straight into it.
Lap 2 of 13. Into Maggots and Beckett's. The right, left out through Chapel and onto the hanger straight. Still no DRS yet for Freddie Rasmussen, but even without that, he's looking pretty dangerous to the back of David Tunitsa, and coming into Stowe corner, as I nearly die, the Red Bull tries to go around the outside and can't quite get the job done.
Try! No, but to be honest, it seems that Tunitsa is not quick like the last time on the straight. Seems that he's struggling a bit on the maximum speed, and look, Rasmussen looks quicker on the straight. It can be an advantage for him. Probably he did something on the setup to try to have an extra speed on the straight. Seems close enough to try the attack.
Oh no, surely that was the inside line that time. He almost had to lift off the throttle, he was so close to the back of Tunitsa into turn 3, but still we wait. And now we'll get DRS then, down the Wellington straight into Brooklands. 3/10 away, DRS should help, 2/10 in closing, 1/10. What's happening at the front? He's trying to go all the way around the outside.
He's in! He's in! Come on, believe in yourself! Yes! Rasmussen, he did it! Come on, today was just spectacular, right? Because we suffered so much for him. He was every time trying and not happening, but today was just perfect. Outside line in that corner is not easier.
We knew the outside was going to work. We said it all day. And finally, Rasmussen. The thing with this track, though, actually, led to the inside, and that's how that will stick with Rasmussen and have another go back.
Or does he have Marcel Kiefer right behind him here? We're on board with Kiefer coming into Stowe corner. Rasmussen then has the lead. Tunitsa in second. There's Marcel Kiefer in the bottom left, in the racing point. The 21-year-old German, fourth in Bahrain, third in China. Was right at the top of the championship standings, but slipped away a little bit with a 8th in Baku and a 14th in Montreal. And all of that means in the championship, Kiefer's down to 6th place. Here they come to start lap 4 of 13 in Silverstone. And, well, Rasmussen's got a bit of an advantage, but it's not massive, and he's going to get DRS through the left-hander Tunitsa. Out onto the Wellington straight.
He's going to be reasonably close with the DRS. He's half a second away, so Rasmussen was a couple of tenths closer at this point on the last lap, but the DRS should at least help him to stick with Rasmussen. He's bringing Kiefer right with him.
No overtakes that time coming through Brooklands. This was the overtake on board with Rasmussen.
Tunitsa closed the line to maintain the position to save his place, but look, here is the difficulty. On the outside, Rasmussen he tried, and then he was inside on the next one. He forced a bit to open the line. It was just perfect. He prepared it. It's 2 races that he's doing thinking about that, but then he make it perfectly,
Tunitsa had the mammoth of all slides through Luffield as well. Just looking at his steering wheel, was pointing left for a tight right-hander, just opposite locking his way. That's why he actually made it quite easy in the end for Rasmussen, because he was busy controlling his own car.
Out onto the hanger straight they come. We're on board with Marcel Kiefer, closing in on David Tunitsa for 2nd position. Into the right-hander of Stowe. Rasmussen is not escaping by any stretch of the imagination. And we'll be getting into the pit stop window fairly soon as well. Lap 4 of 13, about to start lap 5 of 13 as they come through Club Corner. And out onto the start-finish straight once more, past the Silverstone wing on the right-hand side. And then down towards the fast right-hander at Abbey, Berejne, Holtzman, Caraton, Tormala, Opmeer, Vias and Benito, the rest of the top 10. We've got a few pitters, Weigang and Naukarinen coming into the pits, the earliest of anyone, those two.
The pit stop strategy can be the key of the race because all the top drivers that can win this race, they are so close. If you stop one lap early and then you can use the extra grip of the new drivers, probably you can gain more than one position. So the pit stop will be the key of this race. And Tonizza is still there, he's not leaving.
Now, Tonizza, here's Marcel Kiefer.
Okay.
Okay, so that was Kiefer's radio. Now, is it a bit different now for Tonizza being in second place compared to when Rasmussen was in second place? Because Tonizza's leading the championship by 20 points. This would bring the gap down to 13 points. That's quite a big chunk.
No, so I think it's the same applies. These are the two rivals. They've been at the front pretty much every race, other than that Canada race where Tonizza didn't qualify well. He's got to try and beat Rasmussen. He can't afford to just settle for second and let Rasmussen chip away if he could possibly close that gap. It's only 4/10. So this is still very much in the balance. 8 laps to go. We're right into pit stop window time. He's got to be going for this win. He can't let Rasmussen have an easy win here.
Lap 5 of 13 at Silverstone. Freddie Rasmussen leading the way in the Red Bull, and Tonizza pits from second place then. So he's going for the undercut. In he comes on the soft tyres to move on to the mediums. Joni Tormala and Jarno Opmeer have followed him in, and Enzo Benito. But the rest of the front runners have stayed out.
He knew that he's strong to defend the position, so he tried the undercut to take the leadership and then defend the position. Look, was just perfect the pit stop. He was lucky to not find any other rivals, and now it will be very important for him the exit lap. He needs to explode his speed.
I don't know if he might have been held slightly for Jarno Opmeer in the Renault. It looked like it was a slightly slow pit stop to me, that one, but we'll see, because I'm sure Rasmussen this time around will be pitting to try and cover him off. Tonizza, who's emerged in 9th position then. Rasmussen's got to do that quali in lap again that he didn't manage in Austria. This time he's leading the race though, so he's just got to try and match Tonizza, and then he'll still emerge in the lead. I don't think Tonizza's pit stop was anything too special.
Through Copse Corner, then to Maggots and Beckett's for Freddie Rasmussen. He's 7/10 ahead of Marcel Kiefer, who's in second place. Then Daniel Berejne in third, Patrick Holtzman in fourth, Alvaro Caraton in fifth, the Spanish Williams driver. And then he's sort of at the end of that top 5 queue at the moment. Bit of a gap back to Vias and Bono Huis and Daniele Haddad in the rest of the top 8, and in then comes Freddie Rasmussen. Now interestingly, Marcel Kiefer decides to stay out. Berejne comes in as well. Let's see how neat and tidy this pit stop is from the Red Bull team.
And we need to remember that Kiefer stay longer with the first set, so he can have a fresher tires later on, and he can be one of the strongest at the end of the race. Will be interesting to follow his race.
So here's David Tonizza then, the change going down at the Red Bull team, and away he goes. Looks neat and tidy, came out just in front of the Haas that was pitting, but here comes Tonizza now, down to the final couple of corners. Freddie Rasmussen had the lead by half a second before the pit stops. Has David Tonizza been rapid on his outlap, and can he come out in front of the Red Bull? Here he comes into Abbey. There's the Red Bull, and he's going to hold on, and I think Tonizza might lose out to Berejne here in the Alfa Romeo onto the brakes into Village, and he has. Tonizza tries to fight back around the outside. All 4 wheels off there, but they're still side by side. Berejne gets the better drive, and he's held on to the place, Daniel Berejne. Great driving from the Alfa Romeo, and that puts him up into a second place, but only for the moment, because here comes Tonizza in the Ferrari to the outside. This was the move that was pulled on him earlier on. Sends it in really deep into Brooklands, and he gets it done into Luffield, although thought Berejne was going to try and hold on, but Tonizza back up into that second position.
Was good Tonizza because it was not easy. Berejne was fantastic to cross the line at the hairpin and to take the position from the outside, but then Tonizza, he came back where he took the overtake, he gave it back to Berejne. It was just perfect, and now he's launching himself to try to catch Rasmussen. It's not easy, but seems like the fresher tires can give an help at the beginning of this.
Now here comes Berejne, he's coming back at him in the Alfa Romeo, down to Stowe, to the inside, and back up into second place goes Daniel Berejne. Great stuff from the Hungarian, and I think this goes to to show that you may have been right, Jolien, with that pit stop for David Tonitsa. That's where the time went, because he's now 1.7 seconds behind Freddie Rasmussen. So even if it was only a second, it may have cost him a big amount.
Yeah, he certainly dropped out of league contention, and now he's in second place contention. The problem he's got, this is brilliant driving from Tonitsa and Beresne, is that someone else emerging in front of them. There's more coming in because they've been fighting with each other.
Kiefer, I think it's Marcel Kiefer, who stayed out a lap longer, has emerged in second place right behind Freddie Rasmussen.
And Caraton is just behind this group as well, so they've been fighting brilliant stuff, but it's slowed them both down. It's let Rasmussen get away, and Kiefer's emerged in second place.
So all of a sudden, David Tonitsa finds himself down in fifth position, having started on pole position and leading the championship by 20 points, and that lead will be slashed if he finishes fifth and Freddie Rasmussen wins the race. That will be quite the turnaround as far as the championship is concerned. Here they come then. We've still, everybody's pitted now up at the front, haven't they? So Caraton in the Williams, you're right, is there in sixth place now as well. Brendan Lee is on the soft compounded tyre. He's in 8th place. Tordemuller and Bollock Bassi completing the top 10. Actually, no, apologies. Daniele Haddad has not pitted yet, has he, in the racing point from the front of the field. So he's the man who hasn't pitted. Tonitsa could lose out here to the Williams coming down into Stowe Corner. That Scarlet Ferrari holds it for the moment because he's got the DRS of Beresne in front.
Look how close Kiefer is for the net race lead as well, behind Rasmussen. Really close, and he's on fresher tyres as well by 1 lap. Went longer, and those soft tyres were obviously holding on pretty well because he's had good pace. Jumped Tonitsa and Beresne, and he was already ahead of Beresne, wasn't he? But now he's right on the back of Freddie Rasmussen for the lead.
If Haddad pits and things finish like this, the lead in the championship will come down to just 7 points between David Tonitsa and Freddie Rasmussen. So this has taken a big swing towards the favour of Rasmussen, and Tonitsa's lead is getting taken away a little bit. It felt like it was Brendan Lee Mark II with 2 wins from the first 2 races for Tonitsa, but the results haven't quite been there subsequently. Here he comes, under pressure from Caraton. Some good fighting further back. I think that's Bollock Bassi trying to get past Joni Tordemuller in their battle over 9th place. But you're right about Marcel Kiefer in second position, right behind Freddie Rasmussen. And Daniele Haddad's doing a good job here. I don't know where he's going to emerge, in all of this. Maybe somewhere within the top 10. Might be looking to get some points. He started in 12th place on the grid. But here's the lead battle then. There's Marcel Kiefer on the shot on the inside. 4 podiums in his F1 Esports career, never a win.
It's not easy for him to maintain the distance here in the fast sector, because look, at the exit of this fast corner, he loses every time a bit of gap to Rasmussen, and then he cannot use the DRS very well to try the attack. But we need to underline that Rasmussen, every time in the race, seems a bit more competitive than the quali. The quali is not perfect.
Save DRS and then attack.
Okay, so Kiefer asking, when do you want me to attack? And they're saying, save the ERS, save some energy in your battery, and then go for it. And he's only 3/10 away as they come across the line. This is the battle for the lead. Daniele Haddad yet to make a pit stop out in front in the racing point. And Beresne is sort of there in the fight in 4th place. Caraton's dropped off a little bit from the back of Tonitsa. It really is that 1st and 2nd place fight that's the closest, because of course Rasmussen is at the disadvantage not having the DRS.
DRS for Kiefer now. He's going to be pretty close. 4/10 at the start of the straight. Now that's coming down and down. Just out of range of Rasmussen on that time. But Caraton as well is right behind Tonitsa. So you've got the 2 championship challengers both under pressure. And Caraton's got 2 laps fresher tyres than Tonitsa as well. That's for 5th, which will be 4th. But 2 championship challengers under pressure. And they're all closing up actually behind Freddie Rasmussen.
On board with Marcel Kiefer. Through Copse Corner. Now into Maggots and Beckett's. Listen to how they take these corners.
Here usually Rasmussen is making the difference, because look his line, it's just perfect. Curb, he's opening the line, fantastic traction here, and he's a bit too far away for Kiefer to try the attack. He's opening the DRS, but he's not making the difference.
Marcel Kiefer being told at the top there, your teammate is in the pits. That is Daniele Haddad, who is finally making his pit stop on lap 10 of 13. We'll keep an eye out onto where the Italian emerges. Beresne then half a second back, and it's a 3/10 back from Beresne, so he's closed in a little bit as they come out to start lap 12 of 13 around Silverstone, so not that long to go. No, apologies, that's starting lap 11 of 13 because Haddad had already come across the line. So it's now 3/10 for the lead of the race. Freddie Rasmussen leading in the Red Bull, Marcel Kiefer second, in the Racing Point. Berezhny, Tonitsa, Karaton, the top 5.
It's good to have Berezhny on top because last year was one of the most competitor, right? Was the best one just after Brandon Lee, and this year, look, he's coming back, and so we can see him fighting for the podium position.
Yeah, retired in the first 2 races of the season, Daniel Berezhny, despite having the pace, and I think took a pole position as well, and his brake pedal failed essentially because he was whacking it a bit hard. So he is now back in the fight and up there in 3rd place. Only less than 0.3 of a second between Kiefer and Rasmussen. If he can just stay there through Maggots and Beckett's, he can start lining him up to like halfway around the lap.
Not the easiest of corners to follow though, through this really fast stuff. Take as much curve as you can really, and then line it up for this slingshot out. It's actually quite neat this time, Kiefer, and now he opens the DRS, he might be a little bit closer down into Stowe Corner. He's going to be.
Is this going to be the move for Kiefer from the lead of the race? He goes for it! Bowled up the inside into Stowe! Kiefer leads for Racing Point!
What a move! What a move! It was just fantastic. He tried to come back, Rasmussen. He didn't close the line, Rasmussen. It was not enough. He tried to close, but Kiefer believed in it. And there was a small space. He took it. Was very, very good, Kiefer. Not perfect, Rasmussen.
That's the one. Rasmussen defended only half the track as Tonitsa had done to him in the last race. But Kiefer took that extra half, and they're still so close now into the loop. That could be a lunge, but he chooses to try and get the exit here. They're going to be really tight again down towards Brooklands. This is going to have to be defensive from Kiefer.
This is where Rasmussen took the lead of the race from David Tonitsa. Can he pull the same move on Marcel Kiefer? Down towards the left-hander. He's too far away. Too far away into Brooklands, but he's still got another lap and a half to go. David Tonitsa is in there as well, and also Daniel Berezhny in the Alfa Romeo right behind that man there, Freddie Rasmussen, who was looking at knocking the lead down to 7 points. As it stands, it would come down to 14 points if he remains in second, and David Tonitsa remains in 4th place as he is currently. Still a decent chunk to take away, but he really wants that race win, Freddie Rasmussen. Already had one this season. Can he find another in that Red Bull? Took victory on the streets of Baku, but he's going to be under more pressure here than anything else from Daniel Berezhny in the Alfa Romeo. Not quite close enough for a move into Stowe.
Good thing for Rasmussen, he's got DRS still because he's so close to Kiefer. Without that, I think Berezhny would be sailing through on the way to Stowe that time around. They're coming on to the final lap. Look how many cars are in this lead train now, all the way down to Karaton in 5th.
The top 5 right together as we start the final lap at Silverstone in the F1 Esports New Balance Series of 2019. Through the right-hander of Abbey, then up towards Village. That is Marcel Kiefer, who's looking to take his first victory in the F1 Esports Pro Series. Rasmussen, again, I thought he was going to go for it, and that just compromises his run out a little bit onto the Wellington Straight. Berezhny is going to be under big pressure here from David Tonitsa into what is probably the penultimate real overtaking point on the circuit, and Rasmussen's just a bit too far away.
Kiefer is using the extra grip of the fresher tires, 1 lap fresher than Rasmussen, and he's driving perfectly, using the exit to make the gap and to try to be safe on the Rasmussen comeback. Kiefer was just perfect today because he came back from a better position. He was 3rd, he lost 1 position at the start, and now he's leading the race at the last lap.
Brilliant stuff from Marcel Kiefer. He's just got to get through Maggots, Beckett, Stowe, Vale and Club, which when I read them all out feels like an awful lot of corners, and it will probably feel the same to him as they come onto the hangar straight for the final time. I think he's got enough of a gap, it's half a second to Freddie Rasmussen. Berezhny 3rd, Tonitsa 4th. They're all pretty much equidistant. Brendan Lee is chasing Patrick Holtzman for 6th position. Joni Tordeman, Cembolek Bassi, and it looks as though, in a very impressive performance, Simon Weigang is going to get points on his first esports race. Here comes Marcel Kiefer through Club Corner for the final time, and for the first time, he wins in the F1 Esports Pro Series. Wonderful drive from Marcel Kiefer. Took the lead of the race away, shouts into the team radio, and it's 2nd place for Freddie Rasmussen. He did the hard work, took the lead of the race, but then he got done himself.
And Kiefer was more determined. You saw the attack. He was so convinced. He was just perfect today. Fantastic second half of the race. Perfect today.
So there is Marcel Kiefer. His move for the lead was brilliant.
Great stuff. That race was brilliant. There were moves early on, Tonitsa and Rasmussen. Then Kiefer came on the fresher tyres. All close racing, and it's actually quite difficult to defend. You defend the inside for one corner. if they can hang it around the outside, then you've lost the inside for the next, and that's what happened.
Wow, some brilliant racing at Silverstone. It's closed the lead of the championship up and a first win for Marcel Kiefer. Talk about it, Tom.
I will do. I'm currently in the audience. We're right here, absolutely loving it. What a way to round things up. Wheel-to-wheel racing at its best. You're quite right to have a round of applause. Do not go anywhere. This man's got his coat on. Stay a little bit longer, because when we come back, we'll chat to the drivers, and also we're having all the post-race analysis in a second.
What's the name of the song? All-Star, yeah, exactly, All-Star. Pourhon, Spa.
It's in Maggotsbeck, it's in Chapel.
Cops, Silverstone, really high speed, nearly flat out.
I think turn 9 in Bahrain.
Australia, second to last corner.
Turn 1 in Bahrain. Twitter.
Instagram for sure.
Twitter. Instagram.
Definitely Twitter. Probably Lewis Hamilton.
Wayne Rooney. Sporting idol would be Michael Schumacher.
Thiago from Bayern Munich.
Max Verstappen, because he's a racing driver. He's Dutch.
Well, I like Linkin Park, so what I've done.
Señorita.
22 from Taylor Swift.
I wanted that one from the factory boys. Dab, definitely.
Floss. You got a dab.
Definitely Dab.
Floss, yeah. I've learned it from Ollie Parker. Thank you for that one.
I prefer to drive the perfect lap.
Always win the race.
Win a race. I think the race win is better.
To win the race, you have to drive the perfect lap anyway, so I'll probably say win the race.
All right then, welcome back to the GFinity Arena, and what a race to cap things off in the event too. There was overtakes from Rasmussen, there was overtakes from Berezhny, and also the final winner, Mr. Kiefer, overtaking Rasmussen right towards the end. There he is, looking cool, calm and collected as he overtakes that main man, Rasmussen. And a thumbs up at the end. Yeah, smashed it. There you go. I said he was the unsung hero to Matt Gallagher, Jolyon Palmer, but here he is. Marcel Kiefer, get on that mic. Hello. Hello. You must be feeling ecstatic after that fantastic race.
Yeah, it was about damn time. I was waiting for the win already a couple of weeks, so yeah, I'm just really happy that it happened, and just looking forward to the next race to win it again.
Yeah, indeed, and hopefully fingers crossed for your team as well. We heard earlier on, Renault are doing 11 hours practice at the time, and it must be itching for you if you're doing the same amount of time. You just want to get that first win under your belt.
They are amateurs. I do 12, so
12 hours. There we go.
So yeah, no, you have to put in the hours to make the results happen, and it's not just about one person. Like, I couldn't have done that without my teammate Lucas and Danny. Both of them, I owe them a lot. So yeah, without them it wouldn't happen. Maybe
gracious
show him
maybe
show Lucas.
Maybe show. He's now directing the show as well, which I absolutely love about Marcel Kiefer. Listen, Matt, Jolyon, what do we take from that from Marcel? It was a fantastic drive.
Brilliant race. What I loved about it was the incisiveness of the winning move. We've seen 2 races where it's been a bit cagey, no big lunges. Winning move was brilliant. There was half a gap and you took it.
Appreciate it.
And Matt, we thought it was going to be the Tunitsa Rasmussen race, but out of nowhere, Kiefer steps up and we're just waiting for that win, knows he's got the minerals and managed to deliver.
Yeah, I was surprised that the undercut wasn't particularly powerful. Marcel staying out, and then with all the carnage that was going on, just popped out in a net P2, and all of a sudden you're challenging for the victory. And as Jolyon said, there was one opportunity into Stowe. A car's width, maybe just more, and he's just gone straight down the inside, which we've been waiting for the last 2 races before that. Come on, just go for it. Yeah. And finally he did, and he takes away his first win.
Okay, Marcel, there's a couple of questions in my head that are running through. First of all, obviously you've got that win. We've been watching the whole time saying it's the Rasmussen-Tunitsa show. Are those the 2 front runners in your opinion, or is there another driver here that you're just waiting for them to kick on?
I think we shouldn't underestimate anyone. I mean, all of the drivers are here for a reason. So, I mean, obviously, Rasmussen and Tunisia, they already put on a great show over the last couple of races. So they're definitely the guys to beat. But I think every one of us deserves to be here, and every one of us is here for a reason. So, yeah, I don't think anyone in particular is the best.
No, of course, but you got that win. So talk me through that game plan. Did you go into this race thinking this is how we're going to have to attack it today?
Yeah, I actually did. I thought the undercut. Everyone's going for the undercut because that was the best strategy for all the other races. So I was like, okay, go for the overcut and just maintain ERS and manage everything behind Tunisia and Freddy whilst they think they pull away. And then when they go in, I just turn it up and go quali mode.
Yeah, now listen, obviously we're not even letting you have this win because I want to start talking about the next races. Belgium, we've got Italy in there as well. How are you going to approach those?
I think just drive and do what I can do. I mean, if I'm last, then I'm last. If I'm first, then I'm first, great. But I mean, it won't change anything. I just have to think from race to race. This is over. I mean, we are happy about 25 points because we didn't score any in the last 2 races. So yeah. Next up is hopefully 25 plus 18.
Yeah, exactly, and start putting points on the board. Well, listen, I'll get another round of applause from Marcel Kiefer. I'm going to let him get back and start celebrating.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man. I'll let you head out. Beautiful stuff. You can head that way for me, Mr. Marcel. He's got the win under the bag, and it must be such a relief for him because he knows how talented he is. And when we look at that overtake, it showed exceptional skill.
Yeah, it was good. But what I like about that race, it was everything. It was the decent start, good strategy, good overtake, and then a load of pressure at the end as well. So he basically displayed everything you need to win races. No reason, really, I don't see that he can't do it on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, and Matt, he was talking about there going on to Germany, Belgium, Italy next up. He just has to drive. There's more to it than that, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of preparation. He's kind of understated the amount of, well, apart from the fact he said he'd done 12 hours, but he's kind of understated the amount of work that goes into kind of preparing for these 3 tracks. Germany, quite difficult again. You're going to have to make qualifying right. And that's what he did. He was third on the grid. He put himself in that position to be able to challenge for the victory. He went for an alternate strategy, going 2 laps longer on the softs, and it worked out for him.
Yeah, indeed. And Tunisia and Rasmussen, were they feeling a bit hard done by, kicking themselves, maybe Berezhny as well?
I have to say I feel a bit sorry for Rasmussen because he's had a great day, really. And he nearly won the first one but got a penalty, nearly won the second one but didn't quite go for it on the last lap. And then he had the lead for a long time and just got beaten. But he's had a brilliant day anyway. Yeah. And I think that championship fight's looking really good.
Yeah, he has had a brilliant day and we can hear from him right now because Rosanna is with him. How's he feeling, Rosanna?
Well, let's find out, Tom. Freddie, talk about what goes around comes around. You pulled an incredible move on David, and then Marcel did the same to you. How surprised were you by Marcel's performance today, what he calls quali mode during a race?
Well, I'm not surprised at Marcel's performance. I know he's a very fast driver. It was kind of an unlucky day for me overall with the penalty in the first race. Couldn't overtake in the second, and well, I went out 1 lap longer than Tunisia in the first race because there were so many cars behind. I knew I would get held up in the pits, so I pitted a lap later. But I still ended up getting held in the pits, and I used all my ERS. And Marcel had quicker tires at the end, so not really much of a chance to defend.
You had Davide Valsecchi screaming, "Believe in yourself." As I sat down to interview you, said, "Forever number 2." You've got the talent, Freddie. People are rooting for you. Have you got the confidence that you can win this championship?
Of course, it's looking very good.
It certainly is. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much. The cool, calm, collected Freddie Rasmussen, and you've said he drove so well today, Jolien. It was a fantastic overtake. We've been waiting for it from Austria. It happens. It was ecstatic. The crowd went a little bit wild for it.
Yeah, it went absolutely crazy. The outside finally worked for him. It was what he was doing pretty much for 18 laps in Austria. This time, the outside meant he had the inside for this corner. And actually, Tunisia had a big slide through Luffield, and then that's what just allowed Freddie to come through in the end. So, great move. And, I mean, those two, they fought really well all day. So, good to see good, clean racing as well.
Yeah, we expected big things from Daniel Berezhny, Matt, formerly at Mercedes with Brendan Lee, and then he moved, which he's done now. He was doing overtakes as well, and is beginning to show that form that we expected him.
Yeah, he had a very difficult first week, and I'd say still probably not up to his expectations as well. And here we have it on Tunisia. He was just defending coming out of the pits. Tunisia then going up the inside, making this move happen. But Berezhny was having absolutely none of it, and it kind of just shows how much this means to him. He's come into this championship wanting to win and be number one, not only Alfa Romeo, but to win this F1 Esports series. And he kind of showed the aggression that we can see from him. And hopefully in the coming races, in the next shows, we'll see that again.
Yeah, so because at times there was a bit of a procession, but then in that last race it saved saved it for the best, the last, because of that drama. Are we expecting that for Germany and Italy and Belgium as well? That, look, hey, let's learn from this. We need to be more aggressive. We need to get those overtakes. We need points now because there isn't as many races on the board anymore.
Some good tracks coming up. I thought Canada was going to be really good. I think the rain maybe made a bit of an effect because we had one lap of dry racing and there were 3 wide for the lead into the final corner. I think the next 3 are going to be really good. Nice, easy to overtake tracks. Really close as well.
Yeah.
Bodes well.
Bodes well. It does bode well indeed. And also, Matt, I don't want to blow my own trumpet here, but I said about Simon and Weigang earlier on and getting some points on the board. I mean, obviously we're waiting for adjudication and those penalties to come through, but as it stands, a fantastic debut race for him.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of hours he's put into this specific track, I'm pretty sure he'll be very glad coming out of this race. You know, he was given one sole responsibility by Renault to perform at Silverstone, and he did. He had a difficult qualifying, but he made up for it. Another guy as well was Cem Bolabasi, who was down in 17th, 18th, and he managed to get in the points as well. So a few really, really good performances.
All right, well, listen, guys, we're halfway through now, the 2019 season, and if the first 2 events have got you excited and you think you've got what it takes to be involved next year, then pay attention. Told you to pay attention. To get involved, simply load up F1 2019 and head to the Esports tab to enter. As always, you can get more information by visiting f1esports.com. And of course, you can find out all of the final results if you head there as well. That's f1esports.com. Right then, guys, brilliant race. Tonitsa, maybe still pushing himself out for the championship. Have you had a great day, Jolyon?
I've had a great day, yeah. It's been good racing action. Loved it.
Perfect. Matt Gallagher, as always, thank you very much. Jolyon, thank you very much. To Davide Valsecchi as well, to Jack Nichols, to Rosanna Tennant, and of course to everybody in the arena. Thank you so much. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait for next month. We'll see you then.
The championship in Montreal. The lights are out. And there's the look from Naukorinen. Chaos down at the final chicane.
I feel amazing. I did not expect this at all.
It's now or never, but he can't do it. Brilliant drive from Tonitsa. And we're racing at Silverstone. Yes, Rasmussen indeed. He goes for it. Keeper leads for Racing Point. Wonderful drive from Marcel Keeper.
Green flag has been waved because we're all ready to go here in Sochi. And it's lights out and away we go. And they were held for quite a long time. And Sebastian Vettel got a really good start. He's already wheel to wheel and past Lewis Hamilton. And here comes Carlos Sainz as well. Leclerc leads. Sebastian Vettel pulls over to the right-hand side. The McLaren's getting interested. The Mercedes are dropping back. And Sebastian Vettel takes the lead into the first corner. Then comes Charles Leclerc. After them, Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz going wide. The 2 Hasses of Magnussen ahead of Grosjean. Magnussen's had a great start from 13th and is ahead of his teammate. But Sebastian Vettel, what a launch he got! And Grosjean's out. Grosjean's out of this race on a track you can say is not one of his favourites in the world. Only 1 points finish.
Oh, it's a heavy impact, that. There's Giovinazzi. He's up the inside. Oh, Ricciardo's on the inside of Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi has nowhere to go. Ricciardo's got nowhere to go. And Grosjean, he's unexpected. Probably hasn't been able to see. You're going 3 cars abreast, and he's been the unlucky one. I don't really think anybody's at fault there. I think that's just a racing incident.
What a great launch from Sebastian Vettel.
And we said that at the formation lap, it looked less engaged. But look, this is a punch that Charles Leclerc's putting in the air. Look at the slipstream. He cannot defend from that. And look, Vettel can absolutely nail it. Look at the McLarens, the start they've got. And look, Hülkenberg down to P9.
Right, we're back in 15th place then with Kimi Räikkönen. Did he jump start?
That's a jump start.
That's a penalty coming Kimi Räikkönen's way then.
And Sebastian will let you by next lap.
And Sebastian will let you by. Is this some sort of payback that's been arranged then for last time out in Singapore? Some recompense for Charles Leclerc?
So I would have got him anyways. But let's break away for another 2 laps, let me know.
I get the feeling here that Ferrari are saying to Sebastian Vettel, you had quite an advantage with the slipstream, not really fair on your teammate who got pole position and should get the preferred strategy. Here comes Valtteri Bottas. The car ahead of him was a McLaren. The car ahead of him is now his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Bottas is up in the 4th place. That was fairly easy with a bit of DRS assistance, and those medium tyres starting to warm up now and giving Bottas some grip.
And let Charles by. So left to close up.
Now that is the way, Paul, that Sebastian Vettel can try and get out of this situation. I can't let him past at the moment. He's too far behind. Charles Leclerc's 3.5 seconds further back as Nico Hülkenberg gets past Sergio Perez, locks up, but he puts the Renault up into 8th place.
Yeah, that's Verstappen
on
through,
science,
isn't it?
Yep. So Sebastian Vettel stays out. For the second race running, the Ferrari that's behind is pitting first. This week, it's Charles Leclerc. Last week, of course, it was Sebastian Vettel. Medium compound tyres going on for the Ferrari.
My rears are falling off now.
And Albon's going to come back at Gasly on the inside through turn 3 here. This is properly personal, is this? And is Alex Albon ahead? No, Gasly has got the inside line, making it very difficult for Albon in the Red Bull to get past the man who would dearly love to be sat in that Red Bull. Lewis Hamilton takes over the lead of this race. By the way, every time Hamilton's led in Sochi, he's gone on to win the race. Is that an omen? Who knows this afternoon? This is a fascinating race. Charles Leclerc now coming round the final corner. Half a second slower, the pit stop for Sebastian Vettel than Charles Leclerc.
And we need you to push this lap, push.
And he has pushed. He's pushed to the extent that now Charles Leclerc is ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Not much in it between the two Ferraris. Sebastian Vettel was leading this race.
Stop the car now, stop the car. He's serious.
An MG UK problem for Sebastian Vettel has seen him retire from the Russian Grand Prix for what will be his first DNF of the season.
This has just played right into Hamilton. Look, of course they'll pit under virtual safety car, won't they? And they'll benefit for that.
Ferrari's mechanical retirement with Sebastian Vettel has handed Mercedes the lead of the Russian Grand Prix. And Lewis Hamilton might have just have been gifted a win here by one man's misfortune.
George Russell in the safety barrier. Under virtual safety car, has he hit something? Or?
And he's gone straight on into the tyre barrier at the left-hander about turn 8, I think that is.
Something's broke. He's lost the brake pedal, I tell you. Luckily, he was going slow.
Leclerc is a little bit closer to the Mercedes in front. DRS then is wide open for car number 16, and he's after Bottas. Here he comes. This time pulls out into the to the right-hand side, but this time Valtteri Bottas is still just that bit too far ahead. Gasly, who was going far too fast into turn 2 in a bid to get past Danny Kvyat, almost wiped out the front wing of his teammate and ended up losing a place to Kimi Räikkönen as well. He locked up and he was so close to taking out his teammate's front wing. Look at that, oh dear. This is Albon and Sainz. Is Albon going to have another go around that, try and follow the car in front, then dive down the inside? You know what? He certainly did have a go, didn't he? Sainz knew he was coming. It's turned out to be a 1-2 finish for the Silver Arrows, who keep up their golden touch in Russia. Lewis Hamilton wins the Russia Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas holds off Charles Leclerc to take second. And for the first time in a long while, Toto Wolff smiles at the end of a Grand Prix and probably breathes a huge sigh of relief as well.
What an incredible job. Thank you so much, everyone. That's exactly what we needed. We never give up.
And Lewis Hamilton wanted his team to rise to the challenge, and that's what Mercedes did. They extended their lead. He extended his lead in the Constructors and Drivers' Championship, and we march on to Japan in a Formula One season in 2019 that is becoming more and more absorbing with every race. Ferrari threw down the gauntlet, didn't work out their way here in Russia, but who knows what will happen in 2 weeks' time in Japan.
Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-race edition for the 2019 Russian Grand Prix. And we asked the question coming into the weekend of whether Ferrari could make it a clean sweep for September. They started on Saturday in the best possible way. 4 straight pole positions for Charles Leclerc pointed at a potential for 4 straight race wins. They had the pace advantage, that much was clear with the strategy work for them. It was Leclerc on pole, Hamilton second, Vettel third, and with Leclerc knowing Vettel had a good run at taking the lead, as they always do from P3 here on that long run down to turn 2. So strong is the pull of that slipstream. And that's what happened. Leclerc, heated position, fell to second place. Hamilton tucked in behind. And Vettel, in the lead, was given the order by Ferrari to switch positions with Charles Leclerc, which he didn't do. So they asked him again, and he didn't. And the gap increased, and by the time the gap had increased, Charles said on the radio, "Don't worry, I know what the plan is, it's totally cool, I trust the team to switch the positions back." And sure enough, the team pitted Charles, waited a couple of laps until Sebastian's lead had eventually eroded away, pitted Sebastian, and out he came behind Charles. And then the moment that changed the race completely from a Ferrari perspective, Vettel's car. MG UK issue with no prior warning. He pulled it to the side of the track in a position that he thought was at a marshal post. It was at a marshal post, theoretically an easy place for them to take the car off the track, and yet out came the virtual safety car. In came the Mercedes drivers, and all of a sudden a Ferrari 1-2, whether it was Vettel and Leclerc or Leclerc and Vettel, became a Mercedes 1-2. And that is how it finished. Lewis Hamilton, race winner. Valtteri Bottas, P2, holding off a rampant Charles Leclerc at the end, who had stopped twice in the end for soft tyres to try and take that fight back from Mercedes. It was a weekend in which Mercedes clutched victory from the jaws of defeat. They turned around what had looked on Saturday to be an impossible situation and made the most of it. But there are questions at Ferrari. You're going to hear from Sebastian Vettel in a minute, who sounded confused, perplexed over exactly what the agreement had been, whether he had broken it, whether he had delayed it. You hear his words and Charles's words about what was agreed or wasn't agreed before the race began. Either way, Ferrari didn't make it 4 on the bounce. They leave here massively disappointed. Mercedes relieved, although everyone knows after the summer break, it's still Ferrari in the ascendancy, and Mercedes got very, very lucky. A Grand Prix victory that looked nowhere near certain yesterday.
No, definitely not. Obviously, qualifying was good, but geez, they took off like a rocket on that start. And I nearly got lost, obviously, taken by the McLaren. Well, I did get taken by the McLaren, but got back ahead of him into turn 2. So then I was thinking, okay, so plan B, just try and keep up with them and see what options open up. But the tyres weren't really dropping off. They're really reliable and consistent. And then my pace started to improve as they started to go down. Once Leclerc started coming in, I started pulling Seb in, and I was like, yes, okay, we got a good race going. Really unlucky for Seb because he obviously drove so well from the get-go with his great start, and then I think Leclerc let him pass at the start, but they had a tactic I think they were working on. But nonetheless, he was super quick and pulling away. So but what a result for the team. To get a 1-2 was definitely not expecting that today. And it just goes to show you, just never give up, just keep pushing.
And after the strategic debrief, I know you guys said you needed, after Singapore, a perfect way to bounce back with the perfect strategy, taking full advantage of that virtual safety car.
Yeah, definitely. I think the strategists were definitely really fully on it today. I think we all were, and even Valtteri, to keep the Ferrari behind, did a fantastic job to secure the 1-2, which is so important for us. So particularly after 3 really tough races, this is I can't tell you how rewarding this feels.
Someone had told you P2 when you woke up this morning. Would you have taken that?
You never take P2. You know?
Good answer.
Just turn to the other side and continue sleeping.
Really? But it's a good result for the team, no?
It is, you know, it's a very good result for the team. I'm happy, you know, for us, and yeah, starting 4th, finishing 2nd, knowing that there was always going to be 2 pretty quick cars ahead, the red ones. So it's good. Yeah, I mean, it was always kind of the plan for us since yesterday that yeah, we want to go long with the first stint, trying to maximize any luck we could get on our side with VSC or safety car, and it happened today. So obviously you need luck to have it, but we knew with the tyre choice we had, it is possible, and I'm glad it went like this, and it's very, very motivating for the whole team. I think, you know, it's been a while since last time 1-2, so good to have it again, and I'm sure every single team personnel is very happy about that.
And I think everybody could see that the Ferrari was the quicker car this weekend. How hard was it to keep Charles behind you on the fresher, softer tyres as well for the remainder of the race?
Yeah, they are so quick on the straights, so you know you just need to try and build a good gap before the main straight, before the back straight, and had to push hard in the corners. Sometimes maybe a bit harder than I wanted. So, but yeah, in the end he didn't really have a proper overtake chance at any point, so just had to do it without mistakes, and so not too bad.
It was a great start, but when the call came through, was it a surprise to you that it came?
Yeah, I think we had an agreement, or we spoke about it before. Now maybe I don't know, we need to have a look and sit down, so I'm quite relaxed about it. Obviously my race wasn't supposed to happen. The car let me down in a way, but yeah, we'll talk about it and then move on.
When the team left you out, obviously the laps wore down, your lead wore down, you came out behind. Was that an intentional move by them, do you think, to reverse the positions that you were unwilling to do?
Well, I don't know. Obviously I was a lot slower because I was on the used tires. I was the same pace as Lewis, so nothing, you know, standing out bad, but not obviously as quick as with new tires. So I don't know the thinking behind, but I'm sure we'll cover it.
Are you upset with the way that things played out today?
Yeah, I didn't finish, so I can't be happy with that.
But before that, the way the race planned out?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, I'm not ignorant, so I want to make sure I understand everything, and I think we go through, and then, I don't want to miss anything. For me, it was clear, so yeah, I was also faster in the first stint, but yeah, let's see.
With the MG UK, was there any warning at all that it was going to go? Did you turn anything up? Or?
I did the normal pit stop and got out and had no power leaving the box. Or actually, after turn 1, I believe I had no power, so don't know what happened.
Not the result that you or the team, I would imagine, wanted today. I want to talk to you about reversing positions, switching. Was it talked about before the race? Was it agreed before the race? Because Sebastian didn't seem sure one way or the other.
Okay. I'm surprised. Yes, it was completely agreed. Yeah, but I will speak to the team. I think everything has been respected. The swap has been done by the pit stop at the end. So yeah, as we had agreed before the race.
Was it frustrating to be in the car, to be told that Seb was going to move out of the way and then didn't?
A little bit, but at the end I had, as I said on the radio, I told them that I was 100% sure that they will respect what they had told me before. So I hope that at one point in the race this will happen, and it did.
The end of the race, obviously those Mercedes weren't as quick as you guys for the remainder of the weekend. How hard was it to follow, to get close enough to make the move? We saw you get almost there, and then just the smallest of mistakes took you away again.
Yes, they were quick too, especially in the race pace. I don't know how, but they are very quick in the race pace. I mean, in quali pace we seem to be very strong at the moment, but in race pace they seem still to be a bit quicker, so we need to understand why. I think it was quite difficult for Lewis to follow behind the cars at the start, but then once he had free air, he was very quick, and I think his fastest lap time shows it.
After Singapore, we asked you if there needed to be a discussion. There was. We are here. Do we need another discussion again? How do you and Seb and the team resolve this moving forward for the benefit of the team?
I don't think there is any discussion to have today. At the end, everything that has been told was respected, as I said. Happy.
There then, two very happy drivers, two not very happy drivers at the end of the Russian Grand Prix. Time now for two happy drivers down here at Red Bull. Verstappen and Albon both starting the race weekend with engine penalties. Albon ended up, after his crash in qualifying, starting from the pit lane. Fought valiantly throughout the race, made the best use of the safety car. Actually, we talked about it at the top of the show. There was a virtual safety car came out when Vettel's retirement happened. But then there was a Williams retirement for George Russell when he went into the barriers. That brought out the full safety car and changed the narrative of the race a little bit as well. Anyway, Albon able to make best of use of that and fight his way through from pit lane to a P5, picking off positions in the final laps. Great run from him, finally looking confident and comfortable in the car. Max Verstappen also obviously lost places on the grid with his engine penalty drop. He said yesterday he wanted to fight through to a P5, came home P4.
Yeah, well, of course with luck, but it's okay. That's the best we could do here.
Happy with it overall?
Well, just satisfied, I guess.
Pit lane to P5. Hell of a job.
Thank you. Yeah, didn't want it to be like that, but to be honest, to come back from a tough Saturday, it was good. I enjoyed it, and kind of for the team really. I think a lot of work. I damaged the car in P2, I think it was, and then again in qualifying. So no, I'm happy.
What does this say about you and where you are with the car now? That obviously you've taken it to and beyond the limit on a couple of occasions this weekend, but that in the race you appear to be far more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much like every time I've been in the car, it's always like FP1. It's like whoa, readjust. FP2 improve, FP3 improve. Okay, this time in quali I made a mistake, but in the end I was still improving. And then come Sunday, I'm more or less okay, but just it's that time in the car which I'm missing out on, and hopefully that will speed up. But we are going to new tracks at the same time. I'm a little bit worried. Anyway, we'll see.
What a race for McLaren, and what a race for Carlos Sainz at the start, flying up into P4, right in the midst of all the action behind Lewis Hamilton, with Valtteri Bottas behind him, and the McLaren driver looking great. Didn't put up any fight when Bottas did make the move on him, and we'll talk to him about that in a little bit. Came home a brilliant P6, and with Lando Norris a P8, and only one Renault finishing today, a very good, very promising weekend for McLaren, where they've made the best of their situation once again.
Another good start, which was fun to race the leaders into turn one. I know with my good starts this season I would have a chance, so I just need to nail another good start, and maybe I gave myself a chance to fight with the Ferraris and the Mercedes, and that's exactly what happened. So it was a nice way to start, a nice way to motivate yourself, and then the whole race, good pace, good management of the tires, of the whole strategy, and we finalized the best of the rest, which is exactly what we wanted.
When you have a Mercedes behind you like Valtteri, do you want to defend, or do you think that's going to just waste too much time and use up too much of your tyres having that fight?
Unfortunately, I think to fight a Mercedes or a Red Bull at the moment, we need to gain another half a second to make it worth it, because at the moment, the only thing that makes you is to lose 1 or 2 seconds of your race time. And with such a fast car like Perez on the straights coming from behind, I didn't want to let him get into my DRS while battling with Albon, because that racing point is mighty quick on the straight. So there was a bit of management to do there. Maybe if it would have been the last lap of the race, no doubt I would have been a lot more aggressive. But today, after a few tough races, it was important to get the points on the board.
P8, battling drive all the way through the day.
Battling drive. It wasn't a nice chill drive.
No.
The first half was good. We had a really good launch, both Carlos and myself. So the team have done a really good job on that side of things, because last year we were struggling with the launches and starts, and this year and here, especially where it's important to get a nice run down to turn 2. We had a really good launch, so that was nice. Gained the position in Hulkenberg. and yeah, it was fairly straightforward from then on until the VSCs came into play. We just a bit unfortunate. We came out just behind Magnussen, and then because of that, it allowed Alex to stay a bit closer to me than I wanted to, which meant he could come past. And then we had a nice little battle, and then Perez got past because of that. So I mean, it wasn't a bad race. We had reasonable pace. I was fairly happy with the car. Still some improvements to make, but PH still some nice points.
One thing guaranteed at Racing Point, good tunes. Ah, there goes Sergio. Bye, Sergio. See you next time. Great race from Checo today. P7 from him, and another strong battling drive with the updated, upgraded Racing Point car. Lance Stroll, not so happy, struggled with his tyres all afternoon, ultimately coming home P11, but another brilliant afternoon from Sergio Perez, getting everything he could out of the car, and I think possibly even better than they were expecting at the start of the weekend.
I'm very pleased with how we maximize the result. I think it's been one of my best races. Great start and great management throughout the stint, knowing when to fight, when not. We were just perfect today. I just doubt that we could have done any better. We were very unlucky with the safety car out there, but still we managed to get a great result. A lot of points. I got caught with Hülkenberg. He overtook me. Had a deployment issue. I wasn't expecting him to be there. When I looked at my mirrors, he was there, so it was too late to block him. But still, I think we managed to do a fantastic race.
It had been looking like a much better weekend for Haas. Both drivers, in the end, using the hybrid car, the much vaunted hybrid car, some of the old parts, some of the new parts, to try to get over the woes that they have been experiencing since that upgrade package first came in at the start of the European season. Romain Grosjean was P6 in Q2, qualified P9 in the end, looking really, really strong for the race. Kevin Magnussen hadn't done quite so well in qualifying, but gave his teammate a thumbs up, as in, great job from him, and the car was feeling good for him as well. He was just annoyed that he hadn't got the most out of it. And then in the race, if Romain Grosjean didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. 3 drivers into one, down at turn 4. Giovinazzi, the meat in the sandwich of Ricciardo on the inside, Grosjean on the outside, and Grosjean just turning in, flipped up into the air and in the barrier and out of the race. Gutted, nothing he could have done. Just, one of those racing incidents. K-Mag, however, whoa, what a race. I'm going to say for probably first time since Barcelona, maybe even before that he's looked comfortable in race conditions in a racing car. He looked purposeful, he looked aggressive, he looked on top of it, he looked good, potentially for a top 6 finish. Made a mistake though, ran off the track, lost a position to Perez, but then got a penalty as well. Scutting for him and for the team. P9 at the close of play. Should have been more, but the positives of this is that the new car, hybrid, it works, and they're getting on top of the woes that have afflicted them now for 3/4 of a year. You said on Twitter yesterday that you did a big poo, but you took it and you polished it up today, and you made something of it.
I think I took turn 8 and made it into a big poo. That's how I felt.
Okay, but you took that poo and you made something beautiful with it.
Yeah, I mean, almost. We got that stupid penalty at the end, which I just don't get it. It's like it's never black and white. These things. What happened with me. I kind of went. There's first curb, the second curb, and we have. We've changed the rules over the weekend because they can't really figure out what they want to do with it. But then it ended up being that if you miss the first curb, you have to take both of these cones. If you miss the first one, you have to only take the second cone. And I kind of, went in between. And, I took a bit of the first curb, but I felt it was way too dangerous to try and make a U-turn to go so far left and take that. I'd be at risk of losing control. So I just went through one of them and lost the position to Perez, lost a load of time, had dirt on my tires, lost way, enough time. And then I get this other penalty, and I just think it's in a grey area. This thing, it isn't black and white. And then they choose to go for the penalty, way too trigger happy with these penalties.
So still a bit of a pooey weekend.
Yes, smells a bit of poo still.
But car looked, I mean, for the first time in a long time, you looked comfortable with it. You looked like you could race it, you could lean on it. It looked really good out there.
It was. I mean, I think I can speak for the whole team to say that it's been a great relief this weekend to kind of be in contention, from the beginning. And also in the race, we looked really good. Actually, I felt like we had the fastest car in qualifying. As we talked about, I messed it up, and But again, today we saw already on Friday in FP2 that the car was good on long runs, and then today that showed it again. Especially in the first stint where we made that soft tire last a long time. So, great job for the whole team to, keep the head ups after a tough first half of the season.
So, we've already heard that Daniel Ricciardo was part of that sandwich with the Haas drivers down, it was with Grosjean, at turn 4 on lap 1. The damage that he picked up in that ultimately saw him retire later on in the race. For Nico Hülkenberg, a difficult day as well. Bad start. Terrible pit stop, 7 seconds plus in his pit stop, dropped him down the order, and he was just out of position for the whole afternoon. Fought valiantly though, came home in 10th place, but in that tight fight with McLaren for 4th in the Constructors. Not a good weekend for Renault.
Can't be that happy, to be honest, because the car, I think, should have been right up there with P6. We should have been fighting with Carlos for P6, but kind of didn't happen for us today. The race, just everything that could go wrong went wrong. Bad start, bad pit stop, then unfortunate with the safety car, traffic, some engine issues right at the end. So yeah, just all very difficult, and yeah, with these circumstances you can't really ask for much more than 10th.
Was it the pit stop that really stemmed it all? There was actually a couple of seconds there just putting you, say, wrong place on the track when the things sort of started to fall.
Yeah, obviously it all starts with a poor start. I lost, I think, 3-4 positions on lap 1. Obviously that's not great, and leaves you a bit on the back foot and exposed from there. But then, of course, losing seconds in a pit stop in a midfield where every 10th matters is quite, costly as well. But that's racing, I guess. We'll regroup and bounce back in Japan.
Belting tunes down at Pirelli too. Backups in full swing. Everybody's looking forward to going home. It's been a tough back-to-back, tough doubleheader, Singapore to here. Toro Rosso not going home happy. P12 and P14 at the flag today for Pierre Gasly and Danny Kvyat, just not their weekends.
Well, it was pretty difficult for us. A lot of overheating issues. And yeah, we didn't have the pace to fight for points, so quite difficult. A lot to analyze, and come back with better pace in Suzuka.
And so to Alfa Romeo. Whoop! Should have practiced that. Where everything that could go wrong kind of did go wrong for them today. Thought they could have got some points, but a P13 for Kimi Räikkönen and P15 for Antonio Giovinazzi spells just how disappointing this weekend ultimately was for them. Antonio, the meat in the sandwich on lap 1, was it just an impossible day after that?
Yeah, I think we had damage, and then of course I pit for a new front wing, but I think it was more damage there. So yeah, nothing to do after that.
Today marked the first time this season that Williams recorded a double DNF. The safety car was called out when George Russell went straight on into the barriers, locking his brakes and heading on in. He wasn't sure what was up with his car. Was it a front wing failure? Was it a rear suspension failure? The team then called Robert Kubica in, and by the time he got down to us, he wasn't exactly sure what the problem was either. Undiagnosed on the car, something the team will need to look into. Obviously, determine what the cause of the retirement was for both drivers, as it was something clearly so problematic that they had to call an early end to Robert Kubica's race. Their first DNF of the season in Singapore, a double DNF here in Russia. Looked like a front left issue. Was it brakes?
To be honest, we don't really know. I just went into the corner and the whole car just bottomed out, and I lost, because it was bottoming out, I couldn't turn and just went straight on into the wall. So we don't know if something went under the car, if it was a front wing or something broke, but looking into it.
Okay. So basically an undiagnosed thing that made the car uncontrollable. Were you able to slow it down adequately, or did it still go in at a fair speed?
I went in at a fair speed, but it was just one of those things really. I mean, from my side, absolutely fine, but when the front of the car's off the ground, I couldn't turn, couldn't brake, so just heading towards the wall. But a bit of a shame. Pace was looking really good until that point for us, and
just annoying to finish 2 races in a row at the halfway distance.
Robert, weren't expecting to see you here. Why are you out of the race?
Yeah, I can only talk what I know, so I don't know really the reason.
Oh, did the team pull you in, called you in? Because we saw George go off. It looked like a brake issue potentially for him. Might that be a reason?
I don't know. You have to ask team. I can, as I say, I can talk of what I know, and this is the answer. I don't know honestly. I came straight away from here, so I cannot give you a precise answer, unfortunately.
So they didn't give you a reason?
No, I don't know. I assume there is a reason, but yeah, it's better you ask the team. I might something wrong, which better. As I don't know 100%, it's better I don't answer.
That then is your lot from Paddock Pass here in Sochi, and what a weekend it's been. For some of the right reasons and potentially some of the wrong reasons. Ferrari. I think one thing is certain, from when we came back from the summer break, they have been in the ascendancy. They have a more complete car and the team is operating at a better potential than it has been all season long. They have 2 drivers fired up. Charles Leclerc, now a 2-time Grand Prix winner. Sebastian Vettel in Singapore, back on the top step of the podium. But they have a problem. It's been brewing, it's been coming. We've seen it all season. And Toto Wolff said at the start of this weekend that he could see the Vettel-Leclerc scenario becoming exactly the same as he had with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes. One that could become toxic if not nipped in the bud early. What happened in today's race, and as we heard from the drivers afterwards, Charles saying it was very clear the strategy the team would employ in order that if he did his job, kept Lewis at bay at the start and Seb took the lead, that he would have that place given back to him at some point in the race. That's what was discussed, that's what was agreed. But when Seb was asked about it, seemed a bit sketchier on it. People are comparing it to Multi 21 and the Red Bull days. Multi 516, Multi 165. Who knows? One thing is clear though, there is something there that needs nipping in the bud in order to resolve it before we get to the last races of the year, because as we just said, they have the best car in Formula One. They have a car capable of winning at every type of track, theoretically. We've seen them on the big power circuits. We've seen them on the street circuits. And on this track that has suited Mercedes forever, Ferrari was in the ascendancy. They can be the dominant force of the closing part of the season, but they have to get that driver dynamic bolted down and their drivers in line. Otherwise, these guys will take advantage as they did do today. You cannot give them an inch. They will take it all. Can't wait to get to Japan. 2 weeks separates this and then. Always a great race, always joyous. Interestingly, a track on which Seb always goes well, absolutely adores it. Lewis loves it too. How will Charles go? How will Valtteri go? How will these remaining 5 races play out? Cannot wait. So much jeopardy in these final few runs as the World Championship for 2019 is played out. That's your lot from Paddock Pass. We'll see you in Suzuka. For now though, that is your lot. Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, your pre-race edition for the 2019 Russian Grand Prix. Welcome to Sochi Autodrome as the sun goes down at the end of Thursday, and it has been raining throughout today. In case you were wondering why I'm wearing a thick jacket, doing my level best to look like Liam Gallagher. When I was about to leave Singapore, everyone in the media centre, well, a large group of people in the media centre said, you know, Russia's pretty cold at the moment. Have you got your cold wintry jacket? And I said no, because I'd completely forgotten to pack for Sochi. I just packed for Singapore, so all I had was shorts and t-shirts. So yeah, bought all this in the airport, then found out when I got to Sochi it was actually quite temperate and quite a nice heat. the group who told me it was really cold were going to Moscow, where it's snowing, so they got it right. Anyway, it is promising to rain all the way through the weekend, which could spice things up. Race might be dry, but we may get some rain going into qualifying. Anyway, we look back on Singapore just a few days ago. Great race, absolute thriller, lots to talk about in terms of how that all played out at the front and throughout the field. And we're going to start down here at Haas and at Williams, because contact between Romain Grosjean and George Russell saw the end of Russell's race, and he was not best pleased about it. But social media this week, some nice photos of George and Romain on a private jet coming out here to Russia, sat next to each other. Was it cold and frosty, or have they kissed and made up?
Romain's a great guy off the track and we get along. Disagree with what happens on track, but that's life for both Romain, and we can move on from that.
Did you talk about it?
We spoke actually on Sunday night. Afterwards we text each other to say sort of, what happened on track stays on track, and no hard feelings off it. But we sort of joked about it, and obviously Carlos and Sergio also joked about it on the plane. So yeah. Did
they sit you next to each other intentionally?
No, because that's sort of the Spanish-speaking group, and we were the English-speaking group. So that was the seating plan. But no, it was good fun.
Good. Let's look at this weekend. How's it going to be for you guys? I know we've asked that every race, and every race it's looked like it's going to be a tough one. But I mean, Singapore didn't look bad right up until quali. It was looking actually really good.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely underperformed in qualifying, and obviously unfortunate in the race. So it was disappointing not to be able to show the true pace of the car. Here, not overly sure, to be honest. I think we won't be too bad. Probably better than we were in Spa and Monza, probably a bit worse than we were in Singapore and Hungary. But it looks like it's going to be a mixed weekend with the weather, so if it's wet, who knows?
Looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good fun around here. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of this circuit, but it's always fun to go driving.
Some fun on social media the last few days. You and George sat next to each other on a plane. How was the boarding? Did you give each other enough room to get on together?
It was fine. He went on the outside, I was on the inside, and he cut the line out the corner. No, we're all good. George is a great guy, and we talked about it, and we went to the stewards, and obviously we saw all the footages, and actually Mika Sala was the driver steward, so if I was George I would have done the same, if I was Romain I would have done the same. So it's a bit of a shame that it ended up that way, but we're all good, and we actually played a little bit with the social media. It was fun.
That was nice. Into this weekend, obviously you took the decision halfway through Singapore to change from new to the hybrid, old new spec. I believe it's going to be on both cars for this weekend. What does that tell you? What does that tell the team about the direction that the car's gone in?
Yeah, so I'm starting on Melbourne car, and Kevin is starting on latest one. And then I'm going to fit some parts from the new one on the old one, and maybe Kevin is going to do a bit the opposite. And then eventually we can find out which part is causing us trouble. So it's a bit of it's hard. There's not many laps around here because it's a long circuit, but we need to do those tests for the guys to understand exactly where the correlation went, what's not working as it should. And on Friday night we take the best car that we have managed to establish and put it together for both drivers, I believe.
Sounds very complex. Is it?
It is.
I mean, is it the?
Maybe it's my explanation. I got lost.
No, because very often, it's not necessarily A that's causing B. It's A in combination with C that's causing B, and you have to mix and match everything until you know exactly what creates. It's like cooking. You got all the ingredients, but if you don't put them together in the right way, it's not gonna taste good, I guess.
All the gears, but no idea.
Sounds like me. Yeah, exactly. Sorry about
me at golf. I don't have the gears actually. Sound safe.
How frustrating is it for you all, though, that we are here this far through the season and still having to go back and play around and trying to figure out, or is it actually just key, not just for this year, but for next year, to get that base understanding?
I think it's key that we get the understanding and we really understand what happened and what's not working as we think. Because if we can understand that, it's going to be a big win. I think that season is going to be tough to the end of the year, and I don't see any tracks where we could actually perform a lot. And if we do, great, we take the surprise happily. But at the minute, I think it's going to be a tough end of the season. So the best we can do is to get as much understanding and knowledge that we can.
But what if you don't? Does that mean next year's a write-off as well if you can't understand what's wrong with this car? Because next year's car is ostensibly based on this year's.
No, that's not good.
Good to hear from George then, and good to hear from Romain also, even if the last question, he probably didn't want to think about that. Of course, so many of the teams now already looking at their 2020 challenges, as they have been for some time. And for Haas, if they haven't got this one bolted down very, very soon, if they don't understand, well, they understand the issues, but they don't understand why it's happening, that will roll on into next year's car. It will be an evolution. It can't be a revolution, really, going into next season. There's just no point, because 2021, everything changes again. Will that be then a write-off once again for Haas going into next year? Let's come down to Toro Rosso, as that is the next garage along from Williams, and we're just going to shoot down in that direction today. We're going to talk to Pierre Gasly. Had a great run in Singapore last time out. At one point, he and Antonio Giovinazzi, first and second in the race. It was like the old days in GP2. Mega. Happy day for him. Back in the points, absolutely firing through. And finally in a car, after a couple of races, that he's feeling really comfortable in. Why is that? How has he attuned himself to the new car? And how is he feeling, returning to Toro Rosso, a team, of course, where he made his Grand Prix debut last year?
Yeah, I must say I'm really happy with the way it goes with Toro Rosso and with my engineers since I came back. So really, getting better every weekend, and I think now we have a better idea of what I need to really extract the maximum from the package. So it's been positive, twice in the point in 3 races. So hopefully we can keep the momentum.
It's something changed in you between where you were in your head at Red Bull and where you are now at Toro Rosso?
I will not say like in my head nothing has changed, but feels like the car and the directions we are taking in terms of setup and everything suits my natural driving style a bit better. So I don't feel I need to adapt so much with that car, and the team is really helping me in giving me what I need to perform at my best. So there are still things we can do better, and as I say, I've done only 3 weekends with the team, so we are still learning every time. But no, it's going in the good directions.
Obviously, you were with the team last year, and the way you drove, your input, I would imagine, would have had quite a lot to do with how this car turned out. Is that an element of it, that actually there's almost sort of part of your DNA in this car?
Well, probably a little bit, because of course last year all the feedback and all the directions you take during the season has an impact on the car the year after. So for sure I think it's been designed a bit more based on what we experienced last year, and which could explain why it shows also my driving a bit better. Could be one of the reasons.
Engine penalty this weekend, but are you looking forward to it?
Always looking forward to racing. So it's not gonna be ideal. We're probably gonna start at the back of the grid, but still we have a strong car on Sundays, and for sure we'll try everything we can to recover it.
So from Pierre Gasly to Alfa Romeo. We're not going to talk to Antonio Giovinazzi, who first and second in that race. Great for Giovinazzi, first leader of a race, as we said last time out, that isn't a driver of Mercedes, Red Bull or Ferrari since 2015. And some people picked that up and said, but what about Lance Stroll and what about Pierre Gasly? If they don't complete a full tour, and if they're not classified as having led a lap officially, then even if they have been P1 on track, if they don't do that full tour and cross the line in first place, it's not considered for the history books that they have led a lap. So that stat is true. Correct. True is debatable. Correct as per the statistics. It's a nerdy thing. Anyway, Alfa Romeo, we're going to talk to Kimi Räikkönen. Really chatty today, actually, Kimi. Wasn't the Singapore Grand Prix he wanted, wasn't the finish he wanted, obviously the ding with Danny Kvyat, but I think looking forward to this weekend, and probably the rest of the season too. Is this one you look forward to?
Same as any other, so it's got a nice track. Hopefully the car works well here, so it's a nice place to come. So.
Cool. Singapore obviously ended quite disappointingly for you. How do you look at the weekend as a whole, though?
I think difficult as it was in Monza. I think the last 3 races have been pretty shitty for us, but Spa, at least we had a pretty good speed. Monza, for sure, we hope to be a bit more stronger as the speed comes, and then I had difficulties to stay on track, so that didn't help. But also last race weekend probably we were hoping to be a bit faster as it comes, but it wasn't the easy weekend. Maybe it's the track layout more than anything else. It's quite bumpy and maybe it's not best for us, but I hope so. We are back, let's say, more normal story here.
Antonio's had 2 races in the points now. How do you see him developing through the season? Have you seen him kind of grow, settle into the team?
It's hard to say really. I mean, the difference, I think he has all the time had a good speed, but sometimes it's hard to get to just happen in the right times. It's the same with me. I mean, sometimes it goes wrong and it goes wrong, and not much that you can do, because if it goes wrong in a most wrong possible time, it's the weekend is pretty much done, and or it makes it a lot more difficult. So that's how it goes. But yeah, let's hope we are a bit better off on the speed-wise here.
Yeah, and obviously you had that last weekend as well. Problems in the garage on the first day. How much have you got to just keep ironing out those little issues so that it doesn't cause the speed bump for the whole weekend?
Yeah, I think it doesn't help, especially places like Singapore. But unfortunately, that happened, and it took awful long time to get everything back running. And the cars are so depending on computers being alive, and when they go down, everything stops. So that's how it is in F1 these days, you know. But small issues here and there, but we try to fix everything, and hopefully we have a bit more clean weekend, and we can go and hopefully get a good result.
And so to Racing Point, no points on the board for them. It's difficult to not double up on that word, sorry, not intentional. Lance Stroll hit the wall. Checo had to retire. Actually ended up being a very good thing for Perez, because the team announced during the week that actually them calling him over early for that oil issue saved the power unit, saved the engine. So he has that still in the pool and is good to go this weekend. So we're going to talk to Checo about that, about the upgrades on the car, what he can hope for from that. There's Lance. Hello, chap. I think there's sort of a lot of optimism for, actually having spoken to Lance earlier today, about that package, about what it's brought to the car, about what they hope it will deliver for the rest of the season as they hope to end 2019 on a high. Singapore has not been kind to you guys. Quite a lot, actually. How much are you looking forward to putting that one behind you, but also how much did you learn that weekend about your new upgrade package and hopes for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think a lot. I think we managed to learn a lot. We managed to understand the issues that we had with the new package. I think it's going to be very different for this weekend. So yeah, definitely looking forward to run tomorrow and keep learning about the new package. As I say, it's going to be a very different challenge here. So we should be able to be strong. I'm optimistic for this weekend.
And it seems the team called you over in just the nick of time. You've been able to save the power unit, right?
Yeah, luckily we managed to save it. So that's all of the bad news that we had in Singapore, a bit of a good one.
Excellent. And is this one that the team's hopeful for? What's the realistic expectation here?
Well, points with both cars, it's a main target for us.
Singapore Grand Prix, it's a real sort of story, tale of two halves for McLaren. They had hoped for so much, given that their competitiveness against Renault looked very promising, given that Daniel Ricciardo was sent to the back of the grid. But then contact with Hülkenberg, with Sainz on the first lap, and Sainz having to spend like a whole minute in the pits with the issue to his car. They couldn't get the jack under the rear of the car, couldn't get him up. So this is what cost them a huge amount of time. But he had a good race in the end and fought really properly hard after that first safety car when he realised there was a chance of something happening. But it was a good run from Lando Norris, finished about as high as he thought the team could have done. And he was really positive and really good today. We are, however, going to talk to Carlos Sainz because, again, in the press this week, some stories doing around that, and we're looking towards the 2020 cars, McLaren are thinking of changing the core concept of what their car is into next year. And we said the majority of the teams, particularly the midfield teams, would be looking at evolution rather than revolution, because it's a budgetary thing, it's a time thing. And when you've got 2021 coming with the new regulations, do you really want to take that, either that gamble or that big financial sort of hit of changing something so hugely? So talking to Carlos about that, and also, as it turned out, how much he's enjoying working with James Key again, who of course he worked with for some time actually when they were together at Toro Rosso. I read in the press this week that the team is thinking about changing the concept of the car for 2020. Is it, and does it need to?
Well, when you have to unlock 1.5 seconds of performance, which is what we currently miss to the top teams, I guess there's some conceptual changes that you need to go through. I don't think you're going to see a radical approach by the team there, because I think we have a very solid baseline to work on next year's car. But at the same time, we need to take a bit of risks and try and unlock where that second of downforce is, because at the moment, if you don't try, you will not find it.
James Key's obviously quite quietly working away in the background. How much are you enjoying his input? Is it quite regular? Do you have meetings with him over next year?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I actually had a meeting with him in Singapore, and we were chatting a lot about next year and about this year's car, and sharing a bit of opinions in all the cars that I've driven in Formula One, his cars, the Renault, this McLaren, sharing a bit, and I honestly enjoyed a lot with James. I think he's doing a good job, and obviously time will tell, but I think he's gonna do a good job in McLaren.
Is it nice hooking back up with him again? Because obviously you have a history together. He knows what you like in a car.
He knows, and I know him very well by now. Obviously we worked 3 years in Toro Rosso together. It's quite a lot of time, and I find him very easygoing, very straightforward. So up until now, it's working well again.
Must be quite exciting.
It is when you meet with all the old friends of all colleagues back in a new team. Like it's for us a whole new experience in McLaren. Me being the experienced driver, trying to help the team as much as possible, being the new technical director, trying to help the team as much as possible is actually a nice challenge that I am enjoying.
So interesting stuff from Carlos. And we move now to Renault, the team that McLaren are fighting over that 4th place in the championship with, and we are going to talk to this guy. Started off his print media session, apparently woofing and howling and barking, and told everybody that he was at one time in his former life an FBI dog. Welcome to the mad, insane world of Daniel Ricciardo. Well, for the first time in probably 3 months, he actually made some sense today, and therefore we can put it in Paddock Pass. So here he is. The result in Singapore was not, maybe, or didn't show how good the race actually was.
Very accurate. Actually, I think how the weekend was, obviously the quali was, I think, all I could have probably asked for with 8th there. McLaren, I think, had pace on us really all weekend. That was evident. So to at least split one of them was all right. And then, starting from the back, obviously I was fired up for the race, but I was also realistic. I didn't expect to come through the field, at the pace that we did. So, that was like, I don't know, it was encouraging. And then, obviously the puncher then kind of set us back, and we had a safety car the lap after, which kind of double damaged that. But anyway, I think we were definitely a quick enough car for the race. Didn't get the points to show, but I think at least the encouraging part was that we had pace and good intentions.
Only a quarter of the season left to go. It's gone so fast, hasn't it?
It goes really quick.
It does. But how much are you looking forward to these races? And with the car that you have underneath you now, knowing how much the team's looking towards next year, do you think it will be a car that will suit everywhere, or you're going to have some ups and downs?
I'm expecting more ups for sure. I think even on a weaker circuits for us, like Singapore, I don't think is our strength as a type of circuit. Hasn't been our strength this year, but to still be a top 10 car, I think, in quali and in the race, that's encouraging. So I think we can still, all going well, salvage points in every race. Salvage, that's probably not the most optimistic word. Yeah, it's all right. We just got to do it, get it together. But looking at races, what's ones to be excited for? I think Mexico will be pretty handy. Mexico, Austin, those back-to-back ones I think will be good. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to tacos, tequila, ribs, whiskey, moonshine, all of it.
That whole fortnight.
Yeah, that whole fortnight's a good one.
Magic.
You'll see a very happy Daniel across those few weeks.
And so to the big three, and we start with Red Bull Racing, who did not have the Singapore Grand Prix weekend that they had hoped. I asked Max Verstappen earlier today if, not the joy, but kind of the satisfaction of being able to pull a podium out from a weekend where, after qualifying, he'd been so disappointed and so upset, was a positive thing and could actually outweigh the disappointment. He was just like, kind of yes, actually it was great to get that. But Max is always, you say to him, you think you can fight for third in the Drivers' Championship? And he says, well, I don't care about anything from second downwards, only care about first, and I think it's the same in the races as well. He only cares about winning, and Singapore was a race he felt they could have won. So Max is always going to be disappointed, but that's just the level that Max expects and wants to achieve, and that's why he is rated as highly as he is. Let's talk to Alex Albon though. Again, still finding his feet with the team, but getting there all the time, and those 2 hours in Singapore absolutely critical for his understanding of this car and of this team. Starting off this weekend with a pen. Never good, but I guess...
TV pen.
Well, TV pen. Nicely done. Got to look at the positives, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's a penalty, but it's not back of the grid one, so we can definitely fight from there. And we'll see. I think we'll still go for it. We'll see in qualifying. I don't actually know our plan. I need to speak with the engineers first. But it's a good place. I think actually having a penalty here isn't the end of the world. See, I think Max showed it last year, how we went through the field, so we'll see.
How much did 2 hours in Singapore help you with the understanding of this car and your comfort level with it?
Well, I can feel what it's like under turbulent air. That's pretty much how the first hour and a half felt like. But no, it was good. I mean, we're still driving, still learning. I definitely learned a lot. I'm not talking just purely in the race, but post-race weekend, kind of self-reflection and thinking like, okay, if I did the weekend again, I know what I would have wanted in the car a bit more. And I'll take that, of course, through to this weekend.
How much of that actually occurs after the race? That do you find yourself sitting at home or on the plane and something just drops, something just clicks?
I wouldn't say it clicks, but you kind of come up with questions, kind of, I wonder what would happen this and this and that. That's kind of the time you have now with your engineers, is you meet up again and you think, okay, how kind of self-review the weekend, and okay, what do you think? Do you think this would have been better if we did this and that? And that's kind of how you build on it.
And so to Ferrari, when we last spoke to you after the Singapore Grand Prix, we said the top two teams had a big debrief to do with both of their drivers. In all honesty, Ferrari turned a 1-3, potentially even a 1-4, into a 1-2. It was strategically a very well played race. Charles today has said that he was not regretful, but perhaps sorry that he had expressed himself the way he did on the radio. It's an interesting one, calling the team out over the radio. Is it something that the drivers, we always know, are on heightened levels of stress in the car? Romain Grosjean always says that he's really upset that they play out so much of his radio because he's stressed and he's emotional, and it sounds like he's whinging, and he's not. He's just trying to get his points across. Same with Lewis. It sounds like he's complaining, but he's not. He's stressed, and he's trying to get his point across as best he can. Is Charles trying to play a message out to the rider world, or is he just expressing his disappointment to the team? That's a question that's being asked. Like Fernando used to do. Fernando used to say something on the radio knowing full well it would be broadcast. Dangerous path to tread. Anyway, Seb, I think just delighted to be back, top step of the podium, where he knows he belongs, and it'd been so long, more than a year for him since he'd stood on that top step of the podium, and I think maybe reaffirmed to him the love that the team has for him as well, the joy that they showed underneath the podium celebrating with him. So Singapore was important. Potentially, when we discussed it a little bit and was discussed on social media, was it the team potentially just clipping Charles's wings a little bit after qualifying in Monza, after those two big wins, not letting him get too big for his boots? Did they even need to switch those positions? Mattia Binotto said they had considered it, but they ended up not doing it. So much to debate, much to discuss down here at Ferrari, but can they make it? 4 wins out of 4. Since we've come back from the summer break, they have won every Grand Prix. They've taken every pole position. They are going for 4 for 4, and to make it a clean sweep for September.
Charles, there was a nice moment after qualifying where Lewis said to you, how many poles have you got now? 5, and including the last 3? And he was quite surprised. He hasn't had a pole for so long. Is there a reason why you seem to be dominating qualifying at the moment? Do you feel you have a pace advantage on Sebastian as well?
I don't know. I feel good in the car since 8 races. I can't remember exactly when was the race where I've changed a little bit my approach, but since I've changed it, it definitely went a lot better. And then now, since few races, I've changed again a little bit my approach to try and have a setup that was a little bit better for the race too, and this seems to work. So for now, it's all good. I just try to look on my side of the garage to try and improve myself, and it seems to pay off. So I will just try to continue like this.
Just to clear up the whole Singapore thing, obviously it's an emotional sport. You're all charged up in there. Emotion is part of Ferrari. People can understand why you might have been annoyed. Do you think maybe you can still have those things, say those things to yourself in the cockpit, but just not press the radio button?
That's definitely the goal. But obviously, in the car, it's always very difficult. There's a lot of adrenaline. I wake up in the morning thinking about victory. I go to sleep thinking about victory. So sometimes it might be hard. But I just need to control myself more in these situations and just, how can I say it politely, and just shut up instead of speaking on the radio. So I'll learn from this, and I will try for it to not happen again.
I think it has, obviously, it's been a very good streak for us. It's been a very good result in Singapore in particular, because it's been on a track where lately we haven't been so good, if you pick Hungary. So that certainly was a surprise, a positive surprise for us. But I think it also helps us to understand our car even further with the stuff that we brought to the car, understanding direction of maybe what it needs to do more, to explore certain directions more. So there's a lot of positives other than the result going forwards. I think overall it is definitely heading in the right direction, but it would be wrong to think now that we've won on 2 different types of tracks, we can win everywhere. I think it's still Mercedes that has been in a position to win every race in a way this year. So they're the ones to beat, they're the benchmark, and that's where we want to be, and ideally we want to be ahead of that and not just there. So still lots of work in front of us, but also shows that if things are going in the right way, it doesn't take much to click.
And we finished today down here at Mercedes. Now this is a track that really suits Valtteri Bottas. As we all know, he is phenomenal here. Heartache of last year though, being asked to move out of the way to let Lewis Hamilton come through for the win. Does it still sit? Does it still rest in him? And where's his head after Singapore, being asked to slow down, not getting the strategy that he wanted? Has he had the discussions with the team? Is he any clearer about the team giving him an opportunity to fight his own race, to maximise his own potential? Or does he still feel now what he felt in the immediate aftermath of the race which was that it was unfair, and that he wasn't afforded that opportunity to race his own race because of what exists as a team agreement, a team rule, if you like, about the way in which strategy is played out for 2 drivers dependent on track position. It's a really interesting time for Valtteri coming back here to this place of heartache, and for him not just figuring out in his own head where he sits in the team, but I think, as you'll hear from him as well, there really seems like he wants to try and elicit some change within it, of the practices and what he believes should be the way that these guys, even as world champions, adapt, amend, improve the way in which they go racing. We always say it, but you go incredibly well here. What is it about this place that just seems to do something to you?
Only if I knew. You just don't know. Some tracks here are a bit better, but only kind of thing that makes sense. Since the very first year we came here, I found a good rhythm, good flow immediately, and just since then, year by year, been able to build on that. Obviously, every year you always start from zero. Cars are different, setup is different, tarmac always changes, so you need to find those tricks again. And the main thing for me as a focus is finding all the things I can do better compared to last year, so that's going to be the aim.
There wasn't much you could have done better last year. It was a kick in the balls at the end. Does that sit in your mind when you come here, or do you just look at it fresh?
For sure I look at it fresh, but there's some things you never forget, and maybe it can be a good thing sometimes.
Now, last time we spoke in Singapore, you weren't a very happy chappie. Have you had a talk with the team? Have you discussed what went down and any possible options of maybe not doing your own thing, but doing things a little differently?
Yeah, I went to the factory on Tuesday, had good meetings about it all, and for sure lots of it is internal. But yeah, I mean, we've had a good chat about it, and yeah, there's maybe things we could have done differently as a team, but also we have some certain rules, and it's also a lot up to me not to be in that situation, not to be behind Lewis before the first pit stop. You know, obviously, for us, always the guy ahead gets the priority. So that's how it goes both ways. But I'm definitely going to try and make sure I'm not going to be in that situation again. And I'm sure the team also learned for the future if that kind of thing would repeat. Maybe they will also think twice.
But that's the thing. You said there's rules, but you know, is there scope for discussion within the team of saying, well, these rules exist, but are they necessarily the right rules? Can we think about changing them in case that situation arises again?
Yeah, that's the thing, because every situation is always is an individual one, and for sure the team is always looking at their best, getting the best possible points as a team. But for sure they do also realize we are two drivers who are extremely hungry to win and to beat each other. So yeah, I think they know my point and they know how I felt after that. So we'll see what happens next time.
So that is your lot from Paddock Pass here in Russia, a track and a place I genuinely really enjoy. I've been coming here now for 5 years, and it is great fun. It gets more fun every single year. So yeah, really looking forward to the race. A little bit of rain could make things really interesting because the track is tricky and is slippery and is green, and you throw some rain down on that asphalt and it's gonna get pretty spicy. So fingers crossed we get a little bit of that. Can't wait to see how the weekend pans out. As we said, Ferrari going for an incredible 4 in a row. Do they hold the advantage? Is it theirs to lose? Are they the team to beat in this second half of the season? Can Mercedes swing back? Will Red Bull be in the mix in that brilliant championship midfield battle? Renault, Mercedes, will Alfa be in the mix? What about Racing Point and all their upgrades? Can't wait for the weekend to play out. For us though, from us now, from here in Sochi, that's your lot.
Big drama. FIA Gran Turismo European. Asia Oceania, America's regional final champions. Here we go then for the last time. Big drama. FIA Gran Turismo European. Asia, Oceania, America's regional final champions. Here we go then for the last time. Big drama. FIA Gran Turismo European. Asia, Oceania, America's regional final champions.
It's time to decide who is going to walk away with that trophy. Yes, welcome to Monaco live for the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships Nations Cup Grand Final. My name's Chris McCarthy.
And my name is Jimmy Broadbent. Yes, thousands of hours of planning, production and gameplay have gone into these events. Let's see who's going to be crowned champion.
Einen Europameistertitel konnte Hisal uns schon nach Deutschland bringen. Kann es auch der Weltmeistertitel sein? Das werden wir heute Abend herausfinden. Mein Name ist René Butler.
Und ich bin Florian Strauß. Wir kommentieren natürlich auch live wieder den dritten Tag für euch hier aus Monaco. Nur noch die 16 Besten der Welt kämpfen in 4 spannenden Rennen um den Titel.
Bienvenue ici à Monaco pour la finale de la Nations Cup du FIA GT Championship. Vous le savez, il n'y a plus de Français en lice, mais un concurrent nous a offert un podium hier, et rien que pour ça, allez Yamanaka!
Benvenuti alla finale Nations Cup per questo FIA GT Sport World Championship. Sarà una battaglia, nessuno sa chi vincerà, ma una cosa è certa, nessuno mollerà mai, Emilio.
I magnifici 16 e fra loro un italiano partirà dal fondo della griglia della classifica, ma Giorgio Mangano ci ha abituati delle imprese, quindi forza Giorgio e vinca il migliore.
Todo preparado para la gran fiesta del motor. Bienvenidos a la FIA Gran Turismo Championship. Que ruja España, que ruja Latinoamérica. Soy MC Epsilon, para mí es un placer estar aquí con todos ustedes y a mi lado el grandísimo Lucas Ordóñez.
Hola Epsilon, hola a todos. Muchísimas ganas ya de conocer al primer campeón del mundo
Así que fuerza con todos.
Boa tarde a todos, o meu nome é Eduardo Félix da Costa. Estamos no Mónaco e hoje vamos encontrar o campeão do mundo de Gran Turismo.
É verdade, Duarte, chegou o grande dia, já chega de eliminatórias. Hoje vamos saber quem é o grande campeão. Infelizmente não temos nenhum português apurado para a final, mas vamos ter sim 2 grandes brasileiros e nós vamos estar a torcer por eles. Fiquem aí.
So, as you're probably aware by now, we are in one of the most iconic racing cities in the entire world, Monte Carlo. And if you've been joining us up until this point, you know that we've had some pretty spectacular racing. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yep, Julia, I think it's fair to say that in the Nations Cup and in the Manufacturers Series as well, so far, the racing has been pretty much off the scale.
Now heavy braking down into the right hand, and we now BMW down to 12, down to 13, 14.
We've seen manufacturers go head-to-head.
Yes, in a 1-hour nail-biting endurance race that saw Team Lexus crowned the Manufacturers Series champions.
Lexus are the FIA GT World Final champions.
And on Friday, the semi-finals of the Nations Cup went down.
Ups, downs, crashes, passes and penalties. We've almost seen it all.
Here comes Brooks down the inside.
Many of you have been with us from the start, but if you haven't been, the best is yet to come.
Yeah, will Igor Fraga's exceptional IRL and in-game driving skills be enough to beat the unerring consistency of the German Michael Hizal? Or will we see a surprise, someone like Hungary's Patrick Blaža?
Well, we are about to find out as this is the FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships Nations Cup World Final. I mean, I know that we have like some of the best drivers in the entire world in this room right now, but can they drive in the heels that I am wearing this evening? Because let me tell you, that was incredibly difficult to drive that car and also get out of it without a moderate accident.
That's going to be the challenge for next year. Never mind these different races. We're going to get all these guys to see if they can drive a GT3 car in heels. Why not?
I mean,
you did it. Well done.
Tell me you wouldn't watch that.
To be honest, I lost the sweepstake. I thought you were going to crash, I must say.
Outrageous.
Sorry.
No, I think the guys in the track also were in on that, Matt. So thanks very
sweep.
much. Cheers, guys. A lot of faith in my driving skills. Right. So obviously today is the culmination of over a year of hard work for some of these drivers. They have been training hard to make it to this moment to walk away with this Nations Cup. Everything to play for today. No goers of a repechage race here. They've got to bring it all to the line every single race. Why don't we take a look how this is going to play out?
Yeah, so we started out with literally thousands of online players all over the world and initially reduced it to 90 with 30 drivers taking part in 3 regional finals. We took our first 10 from the Asia and Oceania finals in Tokyo, then made it 20 at the European finals in Madrid, and our final lineup here in Monaco was completed at the Americas finals in Las Vegas. We've seen some unbelievable racing all over the world. It's continued here in Monte Carlo, and we just cannot wait to see what happens here tonight.
Well, it's just, we just don't know. Everything we think is going to happen doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. And you know what the big thing is? What we saw a fantastic Manufacturers Series yesterday, and these guys in that series in particular, and online as well, they get to choose their cars. They all have their favourites. They've come top of the rankings in their favourite cars and on their favourite tracks. But here in the Nations Cup, we saw it in the semi-finals as well. The cars are drawn at random. The guys, with one of the tracks tonight, they've never even raced it before. So it's all about who can adapt the quickest. It tests a different skill set to what these guys can do at home and what you guys can do at home on your PlayStations as well.
Well, yeah, this is it. So why don't we take a look on how we got to this point with a bit of a semi-final recap, just so we can see what's going on here.
Yeah, well, this all took place on Friday evening. You can watch these races in full still online if you want to, but it was an awesome race. Igor Fraga, the Americas champion, escaped at the front, but there was an awesome battle for second place between Coquel Lopez and Jeffrey Gallan as well from Canada. But it was Igor Fraga who took the win and 10 points from the Group A race. Then in Group B, our Asia's champion, Ryoto Kokuban, had another great battle head-to-head with the European champion, Mikhail Hizal. This was the one that we all wanted to see. The boys delivered, but it was Hizal in the end who took the victory. Then in the repechage race, for anybody who finished outside the top 6 in those group races, one of those was Adam Sasuilo, which was a big shock, and he almost went out in the repechage as well. The top 4 were the boys who were going to go through from this one to the final, and after an epic battle with Carlos Salazar right down to the final lap, Sasuilo joined Latkovsky, Rubilar and Mangano in tonight's final.
Yeah, it's been pretty much non-stop. In fact, every single race has been nail-bitingly close, and there's been a lot of fights.
And everything's been on the line as well, Julia, you know, because these guys have worked so hard, as you said, to get here. They've had such a wonderful time, but they don't want to go home, you know? They want to make it through to tonight.
I don't want to go home, and I'm not even racing. It's
no,
lovely.
I don't ever want to go home
here.
from here. It's lovely, yeah, very nice.
So why don't we explain a little bit of the structure and the schedule, how today's going to pan out for you. Let's take a look. So, yeah, we're going to be having a few races today. Matt, fill us in the details.
Well, we sure are. As I said, we have 30 drivers who made it here to Monaco. We're down to our last 16 now after a stunning day of action on Friday when 6 came through each semi-final group race and a further 4 from that dramatic repechage. They also scored points in those races, so 4 races today and the cumulative points score from Friday and this evening to decide our overall Nations Cup champion.
It's pretty straightforward there.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah. There's, like you said, there's no repechage, there's no second chances right now. It's an accumulative point score over 4 races. Double points in the final race, by the way, as well.
Final
so
race.
Just a little extra twist at the end.
Oof, that final race is always a nail-bitingly close one. So we actually go out with on our commentary in a lot of different languages, and we've added a new one into the mix this time, which is Portuguese. And actually, we're going to go and talk to one of our Portuguese commentators, Felipe, right now. How are you doing in the booth?
Very well, very comfortable. Hello, everyone.
Hey, look at you, all the way back there. You look very comfy. We're not allowed to sit in chairs. So obviously, you actually drive in real life as well. Have there been any particular drivers who really caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I think it caught my eye and many other guys. Is the Igor Fraga from Brazil. He did a fantastic job so far. I mean, today is the final. I think the nerves of everyone will be up there, and we don't know how they're going to handle that pressure because it's the same for everyone. But we saw as well Rubilar being very, very fast in the race of nations yesterday of the manufacturers. So for sure he has a voice to do the final. Let's see.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. So Fraga's been very, very consistent. Rubilar has kind of been, you know, up and down a little bit. What's your kind of read on Hizal? How do you think he's going to do?
Well, I think everything is open now because everyone that is in here, they prove that they are very quick. I think, as we've seen yesterday in Nürburgring, who does less mistakes is the one that is more ahead. You can be very fast for 1 lap, but then if you do a mistake after 1 or 2 laps, then all the advantage that you are having, like 2 tenths per lap, 2 tenths, and then you just do a mistake and all goes away in a couple of laps. So it needs to be cold head, but again, the winner here has a huge thing to prove, and I think the nerves goes again and the emotions, and I think they go for that for the first time, and we need to see who does less mistakes and obviously on the limit.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Felipe, for chatting to us. Have a really, really good races. Enjoy your commentary. And why don't we take a look now at exactly where all of those drivers are in the standings of the qualifiers. Let's take a quick look here.
Yeah, well, Felipe knows the score. Igor Fraga with the fastest.
Well, thank you.
Fine, also winner of that Group A race, 10 points, but it's more complicated than that. As he said, look out for my tip from 5th place there. Jeffrey Galland from Canada finished 2nd in the group race. He starts, as I said, 5th on the grid. Britain's Adam Sasuilo there in 8th. We talked about Mikhail Hizal, the European champion. He won his group race to take 10 points into tonight, but he starts from 10th, so he's got his work cut out. And watch out as well for Patrick Blajan and for Giorgio Mangano as well from the back of the grid.
They're not going to take it lying down at all.
No, well, they're both aggressive drivers. They've both got good form. Blajan did really well in Salzburg, didn't he, in the World Tour event earlier this year, and they're really exciting drivers to watch. So,
I mean, you know, like, if you're going to be aggressive, now's kind of the time, right?
Yeah, now or never, basically, yeah. So watch out from those 2 guys for the back of the grid. So without further ado, I think it's time to welcome our drivers now, the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships Nations Cup Class of 2018. Please welcome your drivers.
From Italy, we just talked about him right now, Giorgio 57 Mangano. And from Hungary, Patrick Fuvaros Blajan. From Hong Kong, winner of the second race in the Asia's final, please welcome Jonathan Wong. Also from Hong Kong, representing Yat Lam Law. And the Spanish sensation from the Madrid finals. What a performance it was to get here tonight. Coque Lopez. He's a man from down under, the winner of yesterday's repechage race from Australia, Cody Latkowski. And the winner of all three races in the Madrid finals, our European champion, Mikael Lightning Hizar. We had 4 representatives from Japan in these World Finals here. Please welcome one of them, Tomoaki Yamanaka. And from the GT Academy class of 2013 from the UK, Adam Suswillo. And now all the way from Chile, the star of the manufacturers race yesterday. What a performance that was from Nico Rubilar. Please give a warm welcome to our Asia and Oceania champion from Japan, Ryota Kokubun. And before the Americas finals in Las Vegas, he'd never left Canada. Now he's here in the World Finals in Monaco, Jeffrey Galland. From Santiago, Chile, second in the Americas finals, it's Fabian McQueen Portilla. Also from South America, strong presence tonight from Belo Horizonte in Brazil, Adriano Caraza. Another Japanese driver tonight representing all the way here in Monaco, Shogo Yoshida. And on pole position tonight, our America's champion and the Group A race winner, Igor Fraga. Ladies and gents, that's your Nations Cup class of 2018. Please be upstanding, everybody, here in the auditorium for the national anthem of Monaco.
ladies and gentlemen, this is what it is all about, the FIA Gran Turismo Championships for 2018. Here we go then, and we're off away in racing. Who's going to emerge from the lead in all of this? What a fantastic move, but the race is not over yet. Oh, no! Oh, it's over! Oh. He has to keep them at bay. Oh, but he's running a bit wide. They're still side by side.
This is fantastic driving.
Can't ask for much more than that.
Wow, I'm super excited to get this thing kicked off. Why don't we get underway with a bit more into the nitty-gritty? So I believe Matt had a bit of a chat yesterday to find out a little bit more about our first track that's in our race one.
Well, of course, the opportunity to be amongst the first players in the world to try a new circuit on Gran Turismo is a huge honour for these drivers. We have Yamanaka-san here, and of course to do it in a world final as well. You must be so excited about this.
そうですね、本当に一番最初に、新しいコースを、走れるということでとても嬉しく思っています。やっぱりこうグランツーリスモってすごい美しいその景色だったりとかっていうのを楽しむことができるので、そうですね、ただレースなので、今回はそのコースに対して真剣にアプローチしないといけないですけど、そうですね、本当に最初にプレーできることに誇りを感じています。
So to be driving a circuit that you don't know in a world final as well, what's your approach going to be to learning the circuit as fast as you can?
そうですね、速く走るためには、まずは 100% でいかないことっていうのが大事だと思っていて、その着実にどこをどのようにこう綺麗に走ったらいいのか、無駄がないように走るためにどうやってアプローチしたらいいのかっていうのを考えて走ろうと思ってます。
It's a big challenge. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best. So the Tokyo Expressway South Inner Loop, a new track for the drivers and for you guys at home as well. Here's a first look then. Being an expressway, it's obviously tight, effectively 2 lanes wide with little or no runoff or room for error. It's also fast, really fast, with a couple of long straights followed by tight corners. Check out turns 1 and 2, the hairpin at turn 11, and some mega quick kinks as well there at 7 and 8. That section as well, look at that, from 13 through 16, fast and flowing. And I reckon plenty of potential here, Julia, to keep the stewards busy tonight.
That looks absolutely mad. That's insane. Look
Yeah.
at that. What?
It's fast, it's twisty, it's tight. And like I said, you know, these guys, they've got to make ground up. The pressure's on them. So I think the stewards, good luck, guys, because there might be some contact in this one, I think.
Just a little bit, maybe. So we'd love to know what you guys think at home. Hit us up using the hashtag FIA, GTC and GT Sport. We want to know what car you want to race on this brand new track when it updates in December. So I think we should get on to the next bit, which is, of course, the tyre strategy. Now, this is a crucial part of any race that we have in the Nations Cup. Why don't we take a look of how this is going to break down?
Yeah, it's a crucial part of any race. It's a tricky one as well for these drivers to call because, of course, they've not really been on this track before. They had a little bit of time to practice earlier on. As Julie said, we want to know which car you would choose to race this track. But tyre-wise, yeah, expect the guys at the front probably to go with softs and try and make a break. The guys further back might not want to think about the hards and might want to think about the hards in the early stages, because what they don't want to do, because it is tight, because there's not a lot of places to pass, and because they don't know where they're going to pass, they don't want to be wasting the soft tyres early in the race if they've got people to pass. Yeah, so I think what we might see here is guys at the front going on the softs, maybe the guys in the middle going on the mediums, and the guys at the back going on the hards.
Well, OK, tyres is one thing. Let's take a look at the cars.
Yeah, OK, so this is the M500 class, all right? So these are normal road cars tuned to around 500 horsepower. And when, of course, I say normal, I mean that very much in the Gran Turismo sense of the word. The likes of McLaren F1 car here, in stock condition, tuned down a little bit in the case of the F1 car to around 500 horsepower. BMW M4 would be tuned up. So they're all similar in terms of horsepower, not necessarily in terms of performance, because, of course, they all work in different ways. But look out for Jonathan Wong in the Ford GT. That car has some serious straight line speed. And this track, as we've already seen, has some seriously long straights.
It does. I'm actually really excited to see this because this is all about adaptability as well. It's like, boom, new track, off you go.
Yeah, exactly. This is the ultimate test of adaptability. It's the one key characteristic, I think, that tonight in general is going to separate the wheat from the chaff, as it were.
Oh, okay, fancy.
It's all wheat, really, and there's no chaff in there. You know what I mean?
All right, don't dig yourself a hole. Right, let's get this first race kicked off. We'll chuck it over to our commentators.
Thank you, Julia. Well, here we go. Grand finals time, Jimmy. I think before we go anywhere, we have to apologise to the viewers for the dab of Adam Saswillo. And if you're offended, I honestly, wholeheartedly apologise. Let's talk about the standings coming into this. We've had the semi-finals. Of course, we've driven the track as well in the commentators' race, which we'll get into in a bit. But points have been awarded in the semi-finals and in the repechage as well. Here they are on screen for you. So Fraga and Izal, who both took wins in semi-finals, got 10 points each. Cockburn and Lopez were both second, 9 points apiece, and it went on from there. So Yoshida and Gallen were third in their respected semi-finals. There's the rest of the points at the moment. We have Yamanaka, Law, Karatsa, Blashan, Latkovsky, Rubilar, Mangano. Saswillo down at the back there just got through in the repechage, took 1 point in the process. Jimmy, what were your thoughts on the track? We drove it in that commentator's race. I mean, of course, that wasn't a proper test. It was a bit of a crash fest, let's be honest. But what did you think of it?
I'm always glad to say that the commentator races don't tend to end up anywhere you can watch, because it's very embarrassing. But a very fast-flowing circuit, broken up by a couple of tight hairpin turns and quite narrow in places too. Overtaking here is pretty much reserved for the tighter corners. But now, let's head to the race and see how our drivers deal with it.
Right then, it's time to go racing for the first time in the Nations Cup World Final. On pole position, it's going to be Igor Fraga, the Brazilian. Second place, Shogo Yoshida. Then in third place, as we get ready to go racing for the first time around Tokyo Expressway South at Inner Loop, it's Adriano Carazza. Then we have Fabian Portilla, the Chilean, starting in fourth place in the Lexus. Starting fifth is Jeffrey Gallen. Then we have in sixth place Ryoto Kokibun in the Honda NSX. Just to remind you, the cars were picked at random. Seventh place is Nicolas Rubilar in the Maserati. Eighth place, it is going to be Adam Saswillo. This grid was formed, of course, of qualifying on Friday. Tomoaki Yamanaka is in the Jaguar F-Type, starting ninth place. 10th place, it is Mick Hezal, most certainly one to watch, having won his semi-final earlier in the week. There is Cody Nicola Latkovsky, potentially one to watch today. Then we have Jorge Lopez in the Lamborghini Diablo in 12th place. 13th, it is Yat Lamlaw, one of two drivers from Hong Kong to have made the finals. Jonathan Wong, there's the next one. He is 14th in that Ford GT. Then 15th, we have Patrick Blashan, the Hungarian in the Nissan GT-R Nismo. And starting at the back of the field, Giorgio Mangano in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT. I spoke to some of the drivers earlier. Cars to watch out for could be the M4 Corvette and of course that McLaren which won in Madrid. A lot of drivers at the front there going for the soft, some for the medium at the back. It's going to be a 7-lap race. All drivers have to use 2 types of tyre, so one stop we are expecting in this one. Jimmy, over to you for the race start.
We're already seeing just how narrow this circuit is as our drivers make their way to the start-finish line. Of course, also look out for that brand new F50 in the hands of Shogo Yoshida there in glorious Ferrari red. Coming round the last corner now onto what is essentially the front straight. I use that term loosely because it's not quite straight, you see from here. And Igor Fraga will lead us off in the BMW M4. First race here of the FIA GT Championship World Final is about to get underway. The drivers just steadying themselves. Here we go then, guys. Igor Fraga will lead us off. 3, 2, 1, and away we go here at Monaco. Igor Fraga will lead us from Shogo Yoshida, Karatsa third, Portilla fourth, Gallen fifth. down towards T1. A long left-hander. Karatsa already looking to the inside of Yoshida, and he goes up to second place before we even got to T1. Yoshida pushed wide in the Ferrari, and then put into the Armco. Sparks fly off on the side of that Ferrari. That's going to be very expensive for the owner of that car. But now we run all the way down to the hairpin. This is where we want to try and slipstream, get yourself to the inside before our first heavy braking. So Yoshida still on the inside. Here we go. The Praga leads. Karatsa second, Yoshida third, and Portia fourth. Let's look to our standings to the left. See if anyone goes right. And that is Portia goes very wide. I think he's run into the wall. There he is. There, the Chilean driver sliding out of the right-hander, and now coming through the shipping container. It looks like Jeff Gallen has gone down to last. A terrible start for the Canadian.
Yeah, he's off the back of the field as well, Gallen. Patrick Blashan, I think, got caught up in something. Mick Hizal has picked up a penalty, so, well, Mick Hizal's chances of overall victory have just taken a slight knock there. Now we've had an incident involving Gallen and Kokibun, so Kokibun, the other driver involved in that incident, which has seen Gallen drop to the back of the field, but we won't comment any further because we don't know any more about it just yet. Right, we are going to be approaching a very tight hairpin shortly, and Igor Fraga is away and clear, so no need to defend for him. Karatsa likewise, it could be close for fourth place. Top three are escaping here. Here we go through the hairpin. Hizal's dropped to place two, Latkovsky. Lopez in ninth. I think Mangano's come up to 11th place, and Hizal back up to sixth, going past Yamanaka and Latkovsky.
So in the background there, Yamanaka and Hizal are trading places. Unfortunately, we don't have the camera angle right now. Here's Portia in the LC500 Lexus, and there is Latkovsky there, side by side with Hizal to the inside. And that McLaren F1, he takes the position of Mick Hizal, who's driving the Porsche. But Hizal, of course, does have a penalty, starting in 10th position, so it's made up two. And Kokibun, our Asia Oceania regional champion, has been given a 2-second penalty for colliding with another car. That is very much unlike the Japanese driver.
Yeah, he's on 9 points at the moment, but any chance of him making a huge improvement of that have just taken a twist. Now, Gallen there was just attempting to go around the outside of Yatlam Law, and I think he pulled the move off. Fraga has stayed out of trouble and stayed out front. Now, we've got lots of drivers on soft tyres, Jimmy. We're expecting them to use soft and medium. When are we expecting pit stops in this race?
Yeah, of course, only one. Oh, well, we'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah,
we have four cars all together. They're pretty much pushing each other down the straight at the moment. There is Rubelar behind there, coming up behind his compatriot. Goes to the outside, though, and as he gets loosened out with the brakes, so Yamanaka sends one up the inside there in the Jaguar F-Type. Now looks to the inside of Portia on the LC400. A little bit robust there from Yamanaka. We had come to expect that from the Japanese driver. He takes the place, and up to fourth he goes, down to fifth goes Portia. In the meanwhile, Rubelar and Latkovsky are still side by side, and Hizal is just about to serve his penalty now.
Tomoaki Yamanaka trying to pull off moves that I attempted in the commentators race and went very wrong, but that fantastic driving from Yamanaka moves up a position. Yamanaka is on 6 points at the moment, so this a very good drive from him so far. Nicholas Rubelar and Latkovsky side by side through the tunnel. Rubelar just grazing the wall there. He may have to defend as we approach the hairpin. Latkovsky could look to the outside here. Hizal has now served his penalty. Watch for him to come back into play. Let's see if we have any moves going on. Latkovsky does look to the outside, but I think he's also aware of Hizal behind Jimmy and took the middle of the road. Oh, someone running.
Lopez.
Lopez in.
He's gone into the pit lane straight away. He's starting the medium tyres. He's switching to the soft nice and early. Now these are sport soft tyres he's going on, not racing soft tyres. So he's going to try and make those run until the end now, which is going to be a hell of an ask for those soft tyres. In comes from Wong as well. Now you're going to have to see this as a very large undercut attempt from both Lopez and Wong. Whether it will pay off or not remains to be seen, especially around here. Being in the slipstream can definitely help more lap times. We look to top of the field. Fraga has pulled a 2.5-second gap over his countryman Karatsa. Yoshida in first with Yamanaka in fourth, and Portia and Rubelar in fifth and sixth. So Brazilian, Japanese, and then Chilean. Are your top six. Here is the fifth driver, Portia, right now. A little bit of oversteer there. Best way to get this car around the corners is a little bit of a slide. We're seeing a lot of drivers do that four-wheel sliding round here. Of course, not very much air on these cars. All about trying to get a little bit of slip angle to get around the corner in the fastest possible time.
We've got a very close battle for second going on, and here it is. Karatsa and Yoshida. Yoshida looking to the outside of the Brazilian. At the moment, this would be a very good result for Karatsa, considering he is on 5 points. points. Yoshida, meanwhile, he is currently on 8 points, so this would reduce the deficit to Igor Fraga if he could get into second place and take the 10 points that go along with it. 12 points at the moment would be going to Igor Fraga as they now come through the right-hander. They're approaching the tunnel, so we've got a leader out front, a battle for second. Yamanaka in a lonely fourth place. Cody Nikolalakovsky has just picked up a penalty, the Australian. We're not too sure what that is for, but he is in a close battle with Mick Hizal and Fabien Bourtier. Are we going to see anyone into the pits this time? Because we were told that 3 laps is probably perhaps the most you'll get out of the soft tyre.
Oh, Karatza getting very sideways there, maybe confirming what you were thinking there, Chris. And soft tyre is starting to go the other way. Let's see what Igor Fraga, our leader. Pit lane there is on the left. No, he goes around one more time. Here comes Karatza and Yoshida. They're both going to stay out. And that Ferrari F50 has got quite a bit of grunt there. V12 engine in the F50. Right on the back of the Aston Martin DB11, old versus new. I know which one I'd go with if I had the money, but I definitely don't.
I was going to say, that's the new car, isn't it?
Yeah, F50 is our new car. Of course, seeing input there from Shogo Yoshida to the right of the screen and seeing both Karatza and Yoshida work away. Look at the different driving styles there. Karatza really soaring at the wheel, whereas Yoshida was saying that now he's doing the same thing. Maybe that's the best way to drive this car right here. Karatza's a little bit slow off the last corner, and here comes Yoshida. He'll drive past there with the momentum. In the background, Yamanaka's still there as well. But that DB11 is holding on. They're going to go side by side all the way up to T1 now. Again, not really a straight up here. Yoshida looks like he just about has legs balls ahead for now, but he's going to have to keep an eye on his mirror coming down to the hairpin.
Yeah, Tomoaki Yamanaka is closing in. Lakovsky yet to serve his penalty. Mick Hizal should breeze past once that happens. Bourtier is 7th now. Lopez in 13th place. He's closing in. He's the first of the drivers to stop. Wong and Lamlaw likewise. Let's go back to this battle because Karatza there thought he was going to attempt to take that second place back from Yoshida. Have we had any changes further back? Well, let's see. That's Lakovsky. He runs a little bit wide. I think that was on his own accord. And Hizal goes through to take 5th place. So Hizal on a recovery after an earlier penalty. He's back up to 5th. And then we have this battle for 7th going on between the likes of Portier, Rubelar, Sasquillo and Mangano closing in as well.
Mangano making his way up the field after starting right dead last up to P10. So a great drive from the Italian driver so far. We've seen him do this at, in other live events such as Madrid, where he came from essentially last on the grid up to P2 for the end. Mick Hizal, importantly for his chances tonight, up to 5th position. He started 10th, so he's gained 5 places, has the German. Will he gain any higher? Here comes Igor Fraga. Now, will he peel over to the left-hand side on the course? Into the pit lane? No. Goes round. Wow. Again, looks like the strategy here is to make the soft tyres last. Karatza takes a very good hard look there at the back of the Ferrari, but doesn't go for the pass. And Hizal and Lakovsky back together again. These guys cannot be separated.
Well, for any of our new viewers, we'll come to the pit stops in a sec. Just to update you, the grid for the next race is set of the results of this race. So for someone like Kokibun, this is a disaster because he won't be having a bad race here. His next race will mean he has to start towards the back. Now, Jimmy, we had some pit stops going on there.
We did. We had both Mangano and Sasquillo come into the pit lane. So has Ryoto Kokibun, who's having a bit of a tough time of things out there at the moment, it has to be said. We'll focus on our battle right here, though, between, wow, Hizal touching the barrier with the rear end of that Porsche. That's how you drift. Showing off there for the people at home, but that's not the fastest way around the track. Here comes Lakovsky in that mighty McLaren F1. Look at it there. Such an aggressive stance on that car. We come into the first left-hand along. Let's see Hizal there. Hizal again sideways. The MR layout of that Porsche, I guess it's really rear-end in that car, is improving a little bit too much. But here we go then, coming up to the hairpin. You know, Lakovsky likes to have a look when he can to the central seating position there for McLaren F1. One of its highlights, I think. There is Mick Hizal on the right. Here comes Yamanaka on Yoshida. Up the inside. Yoshida's lost 2 positions. Oh, sorry, he was 3rd. Apologies.
And Yamanaka repeating the move he did earlier. Is he going to get 2 for 1? No. Well, he attempted it, but Yamanaka there up to 3rd place. So brilliant driving this. He's absolutely flying. How is he managing these soft tyres so well, Jimmy, yet making places?
That is something that I would love to tell you, Chris. But if I were out there doing it, I'd be on the rim by now, I think. But here we have Karatza, Yamanaka, Yoshida all coming towards the camera right now. There is Yoshida. the back of that glorious looking Ferrari F50. I must say, as I get a little bit older, I kind of like the F50 more and more. Very nice looking car indeed. Now again, Igor Fraga, 7 seconds up the road from anybody else, doing what he does best, is pulling away. Will he come to the pit lane? No, goes around again. Now a reminder, he does have to make 1 mandatory pit stop. He can use pretty much Karat's taking a very, he's coming in, so he's getting some new boots for that DB11. You can see it, the pit lane now is essentially an underground car park. So make sure not to park your car in there on race weekend.
Yeah, well, Karatsa in and then back out again as quick as you like. Rubelot has gone up to 6th place. Also in was Fabian Portia. We've had Gallant come in as well. So not yet to come in, of course, are the top 6. Plus, let's have a look. Portia, I don't think has stopped unless that's yet to be updated, but certainly the top 6 yet to come in. Here is Portia and Siswillo, nose to tail, as they come through that long right-hander now and into the sharp left. This is a very quick section of the circuit. Mangano just ahead of us. So whilst these guys are battling, they're just allowing Mangano to get away. They're all on the same strategy. These guys, they've all made 1 stop, but Mangano seems to be pulling away. Right, let's go back to Mick Hizal, TRL Lightning. He is closing in on Latkovsky. Ahead of this though, Yoshida and Yamanaka. Nose to tail as they go down under the bridge. They're approaching the double right-hander. Let's see if Yamanaka this time will be passed into this corner rather than overtake anyone. No, he hangs on to that place for now. So 2nd place it is still for Yamanaka. Yoshida 3rd, Latkovsky 4th, Hizal then in 5th. Fraga out front by now, 8 seconds.
What I love is we have a 2015 Jaguar being chased by a 1995 Ferrari and 500 class. I always love it for that, of course. Some people have their criticisms, of course, but in this event, I just really love the format. Looking back there from the Jaguar, looking back and seeing an F50 McLaren F1 car must be a little bit intimidating. But Yamanaka, of course, did so well yesterday in the Manufacturers' Cup, securing 2nd place for Toyota. He'll be looking to go 1 better here today, but to do that, he's got to gain 8 seconds at Igor Fraga, who is surely coming into the pit lane this time around. Yes, he does. Peels into the pit lane, only doing 1 lap on that medium tyre.
Yeah, well, that's a bold strategy from Fraga, but I guess he made those tyres last, so expertise shown from Igor Fraga there. That's why these guys are the best in the world. We've got Yoshida, Hizal, Yamanaka, Latkovsky. They're all coming in. Tyre strategy on screen.
You can see why no one's picking the hard tyre, a lot slower than the rest. Everyone's in on this last lap, really trying to make the best of the soft tyre. It's literally just a rush onto the medium tyre. 6 laps some of these people were making these tyres last, and they were meant to only last 3. Best of the best, all I can say.
Live point ranking there to the right of screen. We've got Fraga now up to 22 points, Karatsa 15, Yoshida 15, Yamanaka 14, Lopez 14. That is live, of course, and yet to be decided because we still have this lap and 1 more to go. Lopez on that soft tyre, he is in this queue. So he came into the pits very early, Jimmy, in attempt to do the undercut. That seems to be paying off at the moment. He's moving through the field and has a chance here as we go on to the final lap to move forward even more.
Well, as we said at the start of this race, overtaking round here is quite difficult, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Jorge Lopez there in that Lamborghini Diablo in 6th position, just behind this car. Cody Latkovsky in the McLaren F1, Yoshida in front, eyeing up his countryman down into the heavy braking zone. I don't think he's going to try it right now, but Latkovsky gaining on the brakes, can almost reach out and touch the back of that F50, looks up the inside, a bit of contact with Yoshida, who's just about keeping things under wraps. Look at that thing slide, Chris.
Well, there we go, on board with Latkovsky. We came very close to passing Yoshida, but wasn't quite able to pull the move off. He's going to have that hairpin towards the end of the lap. It's not quite the last corner, but it is right by the pit lane entry. Latkovsky, that will probably be his best chance here to go for the move. Fraga remains 7.6 seconds in the lead from Karatsa. Then it's Yamanaka, Yoshida and Latkovsky. But watch for Lopez as well on this final lap on those soft tyres. They may be worn, but they should effectively still be quicker.
Now this is going to be probably the last chance to overtake here. Coming down to the airpin, Latkovsky goes to the inside of Yoshida, He's going to have to be the latest of the late breakers to get that done. He goes up the inside, dives there. He's there on the inside, but he'll go wide on exit. He can't get the car slowed down. Understeers. Here comes Lopez through as well. Will he get Lukowski? McLaren versus Lamborghini Diablo Drag Race. Lukowski does come out in front, keeping P5 for now, but Yoshida is given a moment of respite as our leader, Igor Fraga, is about to come round the last corner. So we'll keep an eye on that, but the battle's still raging for 4th and 5th position. And here comes Igor Fraga, doing what he does best, leading from the front. Igor Fraga wins the first race of the FIA GT Championship Nations Cup World Final and is followed home by his countryman Karatsa in the DB11. Yamanaka in 3rd position. So drags the line. Lukowski has got ahead into 4th, Yoshida 5th, and Lopez just 6th with Mick Hazal starting from 10th and finishing in 7th position. Giorgio Mangano, who started last, up to 8th. A great effort from the Italian driver.
Well, Hazal could have been better without that earlier penalty. Mangano moves up to 8th. There's Igor Fraga. He knows the job is far from done yet. He may have won this first race, but there is still 3 races to go, including the double points one at the end. So Igor Fraga, that's, I think, why there is no celebrations from him just yet. But a fantastic race. There you go. That is Tokyo Expressway South Inner Loop. What do you think of it? I think it provided good racing, right? 2 major overtaking opportunities. And it did prove out that these guys can make that soft tyre work, you know, make it last for a long time.
Well, that was a big surprise for me, Chris, actually seeing that soft tyre go that long. Again, some people, 6 laps, and it doubled the length of what we saw happening up. Now, we do have some replays coming up on screen. There is Fabian Portilla in the car right now. You see going wide at the start of the race. Yamanaka sliding up the inside as Jakubit. Hasn't been able to invite him twice, and that kind of left him the door open for Latkovsky behind him. Couldn't quite make it work. There is Yoshida looking quite worried, actually. But I think that's just his driving face.
Yeah, that was Yoshida. I think that was him when he was about to try and make this move on Karatsa. But that wasn't to pay off at that moment in time. But the two did remain side by side, and Yoshida would eventually get through into 2nd place. Whilst all this was going on, Yamanaka was closing in. Behind Latkovsky was falling back at the expense of Mick Hazal, and I think we're going to see a frustrated Latkovsky, are we? Oh no, actually remained very calm despite what was going on around him. And then this was his attempted move on Yoshida, which just didn't quite work out.
It would have been very easy for him to turn Yoshida there, but backed out of it, and here was the last lap lunge down to the hairpin. Understeer there, front tyres didn't quite have enough grip there. At this point, Latkovsky was down to 5th, but he managed to actually claw it back and get past Yoshida before coming over the start-finish line. That was Fraga, of course, and a sigh of relief from the Brazilian. But as you said, Chris, long way to go for him.
Yep, we've still got 3 races yet to go. We're going to have a look at the standings in just a second to give you an idea of who is on what points, because we've already had points coming into this. That's confirmation of race 1 results. So Fraga takes 12 points in the win. Then it's Karatsa, Yamanaka, Latkovsky, Yoshida, Lopez, Hazal, Mangano with 3 points. Then we had Portilla and Sasquillo 2 and 1 point respectively. Missing out on points, some big names in Kokubun, Galen Wong, and then we had Latlon, Fraga, and, well, not Fraga, that's Patrick Blasham, sorry, and Nicholas Rubelar. So some big names towards the back of the field there, actually. That means now that they're going to have to start at the back for the next race as well. So that's making their chances of winning this very, very slim, I think, because Fraga is already getting away on points.
Yeah, definitely a difficult race ahead for the guys at the back. But let's toss to Julia, see her thoughts on the race.
Wow, it's like they just knew something we didn't. Honestly, that tyre strategy was just incredible. We were asking you guys at home on socials just exactly what car you'll be taking to this new track once it's released in December, and we've got a little bit of feedback from there. So definitely the Lexus LC500. It's a great tourer and to take to city courses. I could take your word for it. And we got Jose Sejlan, and we've got, I've been falling in love with the Toyota SFR Racing Concept 16. That will probably be the very first car that I use. I always find it's very distracting when you play like a new track like that, because you're kind of constantly like looking around, and I'm just easily distracted by nice buildings. That's just me though. So keep the questions coming in using the hashtag FIA GTC and GT Sport. We'll have some more of those a little bit later on. Now, We had a very special guest come and join us for a little bit. Yes, I know someone, I don't know, a couple of you might know him, Lewis Hamilton. I don't know that guy. But obviously our race leader at the moment, Igor Fraga, actually got to ask him a question. So let's find out what he had to say.
A warm welcome, please, to the 5-time Formula One world champion and the Gran Turismo Sport Maestro, Lewis Hamilton.
I wanted to know, like, if you also had a time that you wanted to quit, like, motorsport, or what makes you, like, keep going?
Yeah, good question. Karting was difficult for us because we were the only black family there. There was definitely a lot of hate, a lot of negativity that came our way, but my dad just always said, do your talking on the track. So naturally, I'm a fighter. But there were times, particularly when I got to cars, my first 3 or 4 races at least, I crashed and damaged the car, and I can't afford to keep making mistakes. I might not have any more chances left. And I woke up in the morning and I went for the longest run that I'd ever done. I felt great. And during that run, it cleared my mind. I won the next race. There are times that you feel that there's just no solution around the issue. The easiest thing is to give up, but there's always light over the hill, you know? So you just gotta never give up, whatever you're targeting realistically. I think that you can reach. And so that's how it's kind of been through the different times throughout my career.
I have to say, there was a kind of gasp as he walked in the room.
Yeah, it was a bit of a badly kept secret, really, that he was coming. I think a few of the guys maybe knew that he was here, but it was such an honor for everybody. And so exciting, you know, all these guys obviously look up to Lewis. He is now the Gran Turismo Maestro as well. He has a direct involvement in the game, which is a game that he's played since he was a kid. And he was just as excited to be here as the guys, honestly. He really enjoyed himself.
He did. That he was here.
Pardon?
How excited were you that he was here?
I was really excited, yeah. And do you know what? He was a lovely guy as well. You know, everybody has an image, don't they? And you know, everybody kind of has their opinions, but he was such a nice guy. He wanted to stay here and talk to the guys for longer than the time that we had available. He was an absolute pleasure, honestly.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, okay, we are on to our next race in just a few moments. I believe, Matt, you had a chat with Fraga about our next particular track, which is the Autodromo de Interlagos. Let's find out what he had to say.
Ready for Interlagos is our America's champion, Igor Fraga. And Igor, as a Brazilian, your home circuit, and a place actually you've raced in real life too. What's it like?
It's like very similar to, you know, to the real life track. And it's very, very interesting because, you know, you have the trees, you have the building that is kind of same place. So it's very, very interesting. And I have always a lot of fun driving there.
What experience from driving the real circuit can you take into the game and vice versa when you drive the game and you go there?
I think the base, it's kind of same, you know, the lines, but, you know, you have to do tiny adjustment. It's not like exactly the same, but it's very interesting because you keep your mind open, and it kind of helps to the both worlds. Like the real kind of help a little bit on the virtual, and sometimes the virtual helps a little bit on the real world too.
So coming from the real to the virtual, for our guys and girls who are watching at home, what tips can you give them? What's the key areas to this track?
I believe that the Interlagos have a lot of keys. It's a very technical track, but especially on the first S of Senna, you know, the second turn there, you have to have like a very good exit because you have a quite long straightaway going to Curva do Lago, and then you have the second sector, you know, the slow section that you have the flow there. It's, you know, it's always connected, so you have to think further and sometimes prioritize the next corner. And it's a very technical track that I love.
Well, from all the comments that we're getting on the live streams, we know you've got lots of fans out there, Igor, and I'm sure they're going to be supporting you at Interlagos, so good luck.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for watching too.
Yeah, he's going to be a man to beat, isn't he, around Interlagos, also known as the Autodromo José Carlos Pache, named after the late Brazilian F1 driver, winner there in 1975. Built in the 1930s on land initially designated for housing until the big stock market crash of 1929. There's something you didn't know. Yeah, with a layout based on New York's Roosevelt Field Raceway and the home of Formula One since 1972. 14 times tyre wear, and as Igor said there, it's fast and it's flowing in sections. You've got to think a couple of corners ahead, which is one of the tips that Lewis was giving the guys actually when he was here the other day.
The drivers have to use at least 2 types of tyres, so we could see some very different strategies here. With some of the guys now, as we've seen after that first race, they're at the point of the competition where really this could be the time to take a gamble. Easier said than done, though, isn't it? It's all right for us to sit here saying, oh, I think the guys should take a gamble, but we're going to ask you that question, and we don't have to answer it, Julia, don't worry. The guys at home, we want to hear from you. What's your tyre strategy? Which tyre would you race first? Send us your thoughts and your answers using the hashtag FIAGTC and hashtag GTSport.
Yeah, let us know because we need some help. Although it'll be a bit late for these guys, they will be well into the race, but there we are. Talk to us a little bit about the cars for this one, Matt.
Yeah, sure. Cars are Group 3, so all rear-wheel drive. Look out for the car here that won the Manufacturers Series yesterday, the Lexus RCF, and that's going to be in the hands of Patrick Blajan. So, yeah, look out for Patrick in that one. Mikhail Hizal, we've seen that he's got some work to do. He's in the Audi R8. A car that uses the tyres quite hard, so it's a big challenge for him once again. He might need a clever strategy on the tyres. And Galan, the Canadian, disappointed a little bit in the first race, but he's in the Atenza, so one to watch here. These Group 3 cars, as you can see, fully fledged race cars, just slightly bigger on the aerodynamics and some other tweaks as well.
I think you need to stop picking races at the start.
I know, I keep cursing
them. You're like
don't
cursing them
Yeah.
every single time they don't do well. The pressure of having you to look at them, Matt, stop it. Oh, well, let's kick off this second race now. Don't pick one this time, and we'll see how better they do. Let's chuck over to our commentators now.
Well, race 2, of course, will be at Interlagos, as we heard there. Good to hear the thoughts of Igor Fraga as well. We're going to have a look at the standings because we've had now semi-final repechage and the first race. So we've had a cumulative points scored throughout all of those. Let's have a look at who is where. Igor Fraga leading the way with 22 points. Kratza second with 15. Very close battle it is for second. Yamanaka, Yoshida, Lopez and Hizal all on 14 points. Then it's Latkovsky and Portilla rounding out the top 8. Out of the top 8, it's Kokibun, Galan, Wong, Law, Mangano, Blashan. Then it's Rubilar and Siswillo at the back of the field. Jimmy, what's your thoughts ahead of this one? Of course, Igor Fraga is going to be difficult to beat after the performance we saw in Las Vegas when we were driving around this very circuit.
Well, yeah, of course, as you heard, Igor has driven here in real life, so has a little bit of an advantage over the rest of the drivers. But very fast guy, again, loves to lead from the front. And where's he starting? Front of the grid. So we'll see what happens.
There we go. We will find out very shortly. I think it's fair to say. Race 2, it is time to get going. Interlagos, Group 3 cars. It's going to be a 9-lap race. They have to use all 3 compounds of tyres as well. Jimmy, why don't you take us through the grid for this one?
It's my pleasure, Chris. Starting on pole position is that man, Igor Fraga, in the Jaguar F-Type. Will be able to lead from the front like he did in Vegas. Second is Karatsa in the NSX, another car that's hard with his tyres. In third is Yamanaka in the M6 GT3. Then down the fourth, it's Koji Latkovsky starting in the V12 Vantage. In fifth position, Shogo Yoshida in that beautiful Alfa Romeo 4C. Then back down to fifth, Roque Lopez in the Porsche 911 RSR. Seventh is our European regional final champion, Mick Hizal, in the Audi R8. See if he can manage his tyres. Giorgio Mangano looking to work his way further up the field in 8th position for the AMG. Then Portilla in 9th with the Corvette C7. Down in 10th is Adam Siswillo in the Mustang Group 3 car. 11th is Patrick Blajan, not really used to seeing him that far down. Hopefully for his sake he can make up a couple of places. In 12th is Jeff Gallen in the Mazda Atenza. And in 13th it is Nico Rubilar in the Supra. Then we go to Jonathan Wong from Hong Kong in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 car. Then it's Yap Lam Law in 15th in the Nissan GTR. Then down 16th from last is Ryoto Kokibun. He's got a lot to do in that McLaren 650S.
Well, in practice earlier, Galan was actually quickest from Blashan and Siswillo, and they are all out of the top, well, 10th, 11th and 12th respectively. So do watch out for those guys. Cars to watch out for from the drivers I spoke to earlier said, watch out for the Atenza in the hands of Galan, the Mustang with Sassuolo, and the BMW with Yamanaka there from third place as well. But this is now race 2, more points to be scored ahead of that world final title. So here we go, 2 Brazilians leading the way at Interlagos, and on pole position is Igor Fraga, the points leader in the Nations Cup World Final at the moment. It's going to be a 9-lap race, as we said. All 3 tyre compounds must be used in this one. Let's get ready to go racing for the second time here on Grand Finals Day. We wait for the countdown and then we go racing. There it is, and Igor Fraga leads us down towards turn number 1 for the first time of 9. Let's hope for a clean start. The top 4 all on soft tyres, and then Shogo Yoshida has gone for the medium, Rubala Wong and Yat Lam Law have gone for hard tyres towards the back. But do we have any instance? I don't think we do. No penalties either. So looks like it's been a nice and clean start. Your 2 Brazilians heading down towards turn number 4. Fraga leading Karatsa, then Yamanaka there in third. Karatsa trying to make himself big in the mirrors of Igor Fraga here on lap number 1, but Igor Fraga not feeling the pressure at all as he leads us down towards turn number 6 for the first time.
At the moment, Lopez and Mangano have both moved up from their grid positions. Zatkowski in 4th at the moment. Here is Fraga. If anyone's going to pounce on Igor Fraga, it needs to be soon. We know the Brazilian driver likes to leave in the front. Look for the middle sector. Look at Karatsa really harrying the Jaguar F-Cup. The top 4 drivers separated by less than a second right now, coming through this tricky middle section here on Interlagos. It's all about being very patient with the throttle, something Chris isn't very good at, unfortunately. Make their way down the long left-hander, and then coming up through awkward braking. This last corner always catches me out. I'm not very good at this one. And we then try and bring it all the way to the curb and uphill. All about power now, and Igor Fraga has managed to extend this gap from 2 to nearly 9/10 of a second. Meanwhile, Yamanaka all over the back of Karatsa. Let's see if the Japanese driver can get by.
Yeah, let's see down at turn number 1, Latkovsky looking to take advantage, I think, here as well. Yamanaka's going to try the outside, and Latkovsky's going to try and go on the inside of the pair of them. And is he going to make the move? Well, he's into third. Can he go through to second? He can't. So Yamanaka up to second. Latkovsky, what a fantastic move. Grates the wall almost on his way through, but he is third. Karatsa losing out big time. He's now down to 4th place, and Latkovsky is not done with this yet. He looks to the outside of Yamanaka here. They're just making a little bit of contact as they go into the braking area for turn. Oh! Contact there. Karatsa being caught out from a slowing Latkovsky.
So Latkovsky there at T1, I don't think Karatsa knew he was there. He was right on the wall. Now Latkovsky looks to the inside of Yamanaka, actually, coming on the long right-hander. Is he going to do it? He is. Late on the brakes into the middle section. Cody Latkovsky up into 2nd position. What a drive by the Australian driver.
This fantastic stuff from Latkovsky. Of course, our one to watch if you watched our little preview earlier. Igor Fraga, meanwhile, this is helping him break away out front once again. What is he doing? He's qualifying at the front, he's finishing at the front, and he's letting everyone else dispute 2nd place while he just pulls away. So these guys now need to decide who's going to lead the charge, and they need to somehow work together, because Igor Fraga is already 2 seconds in the distance. Look at Patrick Blasher, and we said he could be one to watch. He's trying to close down Mangano, but of course he's only gone past those on medium or hard tyre at the moment. So our top 7 all on soft tyres. Here now we're on board with Latkovsky.
It's Yamanaka there, had the run, but actually slows himself down coming on the back, and here comes Lopez on the inside of Karatsa, not quite close enough, but the NSX getting sideways, coming down T1 through the centre S, now through T3. The right front tyre takes that battering through here. Now, as to reiterate what you said, Chris, these guys have to work together, otherwise Igor Fraga is just going to drive away with it again. When you're fighting and jostling for position, all you're doing is losing lap time, and Latkovsky goes a little bit wide, and Yamanaka goes, okay, I'm going to go for the move now, and he goes up to 2nd place. Latkovsky is pushed wide, not much time lost between them, but you see it was 2.2, and now it's 2.4 seconds to Igor Fraga. Every move is slowing him down. Meanwhile, the background, Lopez moves up to 4th, taking Karatsa. Lopez is really determined to get up from the scrap. Maybe he wants a chance at chasing Igor Fraga.
I can almost hear the Spanish commentators from here as Jorge Lopez goes into 4th place then. Another thing this is helping Igor Fraga do is manage his tyres. Of course, Yamanaka and Latkovsky, this won't be doing their soft tyres any good at all. What we had from our briefing earlier was that it could be 3 laps the tyre window on the softs, but of course that was completely thrown out the window in race number 1. There is Mangano in the Mercedes. Oh, and a little bit of a moment coming out of turn number 12 there as he's in the tow of Carazza. Can Mangano make a move as they head now down towards turn number 1? Patrick Blashan just behind as well. Mangano pulls to the outside in that Mercedes. Is he going to be brave and attempt to go all the way around the outside? Meanwhile, Blashan is trying to Cody Lakovsky, and then 3 wide, and Mangano comes out in 5th place, and Blashan, oh, a little bit of more contact there. He's briefly onto the grass. Blashan and Carazza not done with each other yet. They're drifting through turn 3, and Blashan is up to 6th. Carazza, nightmare race so far for him.
That looked a little bit argy-bargy for me. I think that Blashan got a little bit frustrated with Carazza and maybe leaned on him going through T3. Unfortunately, our camera angle wasn't the best, so we can't really confirm that. Again, Lakovsky and Yamanaka still going at it, and in the top right you can see Carazza and Blashan now under investigation. But yeah, Carazza has just been working his way down the field. Started in 2nd place, is now down to 8th. So Yamanaka, Lakovsky, Lopez all in your pitch at the moment. Yamanaka sideways again, so you're getting a little bit impatient on that throttle through there. And Coque Lopez behind in the Porsche 911 RSR, getting ever closer to the back of Cody Lakovsky.
Well, all this battling has allowed those on medium tyres to close in here. Here is Lopez. He's going to dive to the inside of Lakovsky. Is the move going to be completed? It was in the background. No, I don't think it was. Let's see. No, Lopez still in 4th place for the time being, but he certainly was thinking about a move. Are we going to see any stops on this lap? Igor Fraga is coming into the pits. Now, are we going to see all drivers on the softs come in? Let's see. Yamanaka is in. Lopez is in. Lakovsky in. Yes, I think pretty much all of the guys on soft tyres have come into the pits, which means Yoshida now leads from Portilla, Galan and Rubala.
See how this pans out. Here comes Igor Fraga, long pit exit around here, and now Yoshida you see up into 1st in the Alpha 4C. There is a car strategy in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, as we expected. Well, actually, they went a little bit further on the racing softs than we expected they would do. 4 laps still free. Not too much time difference between these tyres, with the hards being 1.7 seconds slower than the medium. There is Igor Fraga. He's come back out in traffic behind Nico Rubala. Look at Yamanaka now. The gap was about 2.2 seconds when they came to the pit lane. Now he's right on the back. It's going to be a case of who can get past Rubala first. Fraga already passed. Rubala goes very wide there coming up the hill. Yamanaka follows him through, so Yamanaka has put himself in a great position at the moment.
Yeah, this is really good stuff, and that was a good spot there. Galan, now he's having a bit of an argy-bargy with Portilla, and that's allowed Fraga and Yamanaka to close in. It's also allowed Yoshida to pull away out front, and Fraga trying to look up the inside of Portilla there. There may have been the slightest bit of contact. Fraga now trying to go round the outside at turn number 11. Yamanaka follows him through as they now head up towards T12. Are we going to see any moves there? No, Fraga not close enough, but could get the run down the straight and towards the pit lane. Yoshida out front on those medium tyres. How long is he going to stay out for? He's going to bail into the pits now. We'll probably expect Galan and Portilla to do the same. Rubala should stay out a bit longer.
Okay, Yoshida is going to go for the hard tyre, probably run about a lap on that, come back in and bolt on the soft and go for a fast finish. So everyone diving into the pit lane now. Here is our order at the front. Fraga, Yamanaka, look how close the Japanese driver is to Igor Fraga. He's not used to seeing anyone in his mirror here at Interlagos, but he's been really harried by Yamanaka in that BMW M6, and not too far away in the background is Cody Lakovsky as well. Again, we said Cody would be one to watch. He really is putting on a great show here. Igor Fraga going defensive nice and early. Not sure he really needs to do that. That's going to slow him down on exit. And now here comes Yamanaka. The gap is now less than 0.2 of a second. Yamanaka, sorry, looking to the outside. Yeah, I'm not going to fall over this time. Looking to the outside of T6, but not quite close enough to do anything. And Igor Fraga really feeling the pressure now.
Well, there you can see the rankings of Fraga and Yamanaka. So this is a really crucial battle in terms of the overall championship here between Fraga and Yamanaka. Now, we've not really in this whole series actually seen Igor Fraga challenged for the lead. How is he going to deal with this pressure? Because he's not only got Yamanaka behind, he's got Lakovsky and Lopez also closing in as well. So it could be a four-way scrap for the lead here. They'll probably bail into the pits right at the end and come out on the hard tyre for one lap, do you think?
That is definitely a possibility. I think maybe this is Fraga does right now. He'll want to use the hard tyre at least as possible. There are some live point standings with the race finished as it was. Igor Fraga would have a 10-point lead at the top of the standings, and bear in mind we still have a couple of races left, including one double points race for our finale, so it's far from over, even if things finish now. But if Yamanaka has anything to say about it, I think we're still in for a bit more action, Chris.
Let's keep an eye on the gap between second and third. You can see Yamanaka to the bottom left of your screen. I think perhaps just checking to see how far behind Latkovsky was. It is 1.4 seconds back to Latkovsky and Lopez at the moment. Let's go through some of the rest of the order. Blashan, Sisquillo, Kadatsa, Hizao, Gallen and Yoshida around at the top 10. We've got a change for 8th with Gallen going past Hizao.
So I've just noticed, look down the screen here, looking at pit stops, and Giorgio Mangano down in 14th position has already pitted twice, so he doesn't need to pit again. The entire rest of the field does. Now, I don't think it'll be enough for him to come up into contention with the leaders, but I have been proved wrong before, so we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, in the background, the time Nathan Katia overtaking Yoshida, and there is Igor Fraga right now being kept very honest by the Japanese driver. Here is your battle for third, Latkovsky and Lopez making their way down the hill once more. Now, we know the V12 Vantage historically has been fairly decent in the straight line, but Lopez is going to have the slipstream, so we might see a move come into T1 here. So Lopez now glued to the rear spoiler of the Aston Martin V12 Vantage. So the time coming down ever so slightly due to the slipstream. Now we're on board. Going up into fifth will be in sixth gear. They're 260 k's. Looks to the inside. How low the brakes do you want to be? Late enough. Goes to the inside. The first part of CNRS and gets it done nice and easily. Latkovsky still hang on to the inside, but he's not going to be close enough. Now it's his turn. It's a long run down to T4. Latkovsky might be able to switch back.
You know what? I think Latkovsky knows that Lopez is quicker here, and he wants to just drag him up to the leaders, because Latkovsky would usually defend that place. He didn't, and he didn't fight it too hard on the exit either. So Lopez, let's see now what you can do. You've got a couple of laps. Can you take us up to the back of the fight for the lead? Because they are fighting out front, and if they continue to do so, Lopez and Latkovsky could get involved, and it could make for a four-way scrap. Patrick Blashan really closing in as well. He was once 2.3 seconds back from the battle for third. He's now only 0.8 of a second. So the Hungarian on a recovery in terms of his overall championship fight here. Here is Fraga and Yamanaka as they come now through turn number 11.
150 beats per minute, so Igor Fraga definitely feeling the strain of the Japanese driver bearing him behind. Now we'll see them likely peel into the pit lane again. 2 stops need to be made during this race, and need to use every compound of tyres, and everyone who currently has a 1 next to their name has not. So we're going to see a flurry of pit stops now, and that will be pretty much a sprint to the end from there. Although saying that, they're going round again. Is there only two tyres on this?
It says 3 on our sheet.
Have we missed something?
So unless that's a change, who knows? I'm sure Jimmy will get on the case, but Fraga and Yamanaka now come round turn number 3 and up towards turn number 4. Lopez 1.7 seconds back from Fraga and Yamanaka now as they head up towards turn number 4. Yamanaka looking to the outside. This the last lap of race number 2, and Yamanaka going for the switchback here on Igor Fraga. They're going to be side by side now, heading up towards turn number 6. Oh, a bit of contact. Fraga's up on the grass. Yamanaka to the outside. Oh, and they're bumping wheels once more, and Lopez gets closer and closer. Yamanaka now takes the lead. Oh, and Fraga dives back to the inside. Yamanaka's still in the lead for the time being, but here comes Lopez, dives down the inside of Fraga. Can he get second place? No, he can't. This is going to be a grandstand finish, Jimmy.
Well, we'll see what the stewards have to say about that, and we'll forget about pit stops for now. Igor Fraga having to defend heavily from Lopez, who's going to run it round the outside, going down the hill. He's got a car in there, he's got a car whip on him. He'll be on the inside now for this corner, and the next one, Lopez moves up to second place. Fraga goes from third to first. In 1 lap, Fraga has been left out to dry. And look in the background, Cody Latkovsky wants some of this as well. Igor Fraga's going to lose another position. Look at the left. There he is, Latkovsky's pass as well. Yeah. So Fraga goes down from first to 4th place. He might be able to get something back on the line, but it'll be Yamanaka who comes back and wins. Yamanaka wins. Let's see what our Spaniards think of it, shall we? Okay, well maybe not. We'll come back to us, and here is your final standings. Yamanaka takes race victory in an absolutely intense last lap from Jorge Lopez, who manages second. Cody Lutkovsky takes third. And of course, Igor Fraga demoted to fourth position. Chris, thoughts?
Well, there was 10 points between our top two. That could now come down. And of course, third place, Yamanaka, is going to close in as well. Well, we did say during that race, we have not seen Igor Fraga in a pressure situation. I don't think throughout the whole championship, certainly not at the live events anyway. And there, he just seemed to go through his tyres too much. Either that or he just lost one place and then lost momentum. Let's look back at the race. Jimmy, why don't you talk us through the replay?
That is Karatza there at the start of the race. You see Yamanaka early on making the move, but Lutkovsky going up the inside of both of them. A fantastic move there by the Australian driver. Eventually came out third, though, and Yamanaka holding second for now. Here was Lutkovsky and Yamanaka. You see in the background, Karatza just drove into the back of Lutkovsky. Luckily, no time lost there, but big jolt in the wheel there and well held by the Australian driver. The battle didn't end there, though. Lutkovsky was determined to stay with Yamanaka and actually got back past the Japanese driver. But then again, next lap, Yamanaka, as industrious as he is, passed up into second position.
Yep, that was a brave move all the way around the outside, and then this was Lopez as he started to get involved. I could feel the desk shaking. That was coming all the way down from the Spaniards as Lopez went into third. And we did say if these guys kept battling, someone was going to catch him, and it was going to be Jorge Lopez. That was when they made slight contact. Fraga onto the grass. Yamanaka, as Fraga rejoined, they made contact, but Yamanaka got the switchback, went into the lead, somehow got the car stopped going into turn 8. Then here came Lopez through turn 11, kept Fraga to the outside, and Lopez went through. And Fraga, unfortunately, was going to drop even more places because there came Cody Lutkovsky through. Yamanaka, it was out front, took victory. There you can see Yamanaka. That's what it meant to him. He would have known Fraga was down in fourth, and he knows that is a big, big moment in this event.
Yeah, very Yamanaka-esque result then. Here are our standings, or our race results, I should say. Yamanaka taking the full 12 points, Lopez 10, Lutkovsky 8, and Igor Fraga losing out 5 points in the last up to 7. Patrick Blachan takes 6 points, Jeff Gallen with 5, and here are the rest. Here we have Shogo Yoshida on 2, Mangano on 1, and here the guys at the bottom with none. So we're going to toss over to Julia with an interview. Hello, Julia.
Well, I mean, I'm here, but it's not really about me. This is with Ty Rahman, who's the winner of the Manufacturer Series for Lexus yesterday. So how are you? This must be quite nice. Is it quite relaxing for you? You can just chill out, watch everyone else get really stressed.
Yeah, I mean, after watching that race, it's pretty intense, and it's nice to not have to be worrying about that right now.
I mean, the last little bit of that lap, we were both kind of losing it a little bit. That's pretty shocking, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to see some of the best drivers in the world battle it out, and Yamanaka being patient, waiting, and executing when he needed to, and it's really impressive to watch these guys battle it out.
I mean, how do you think it's going to affect Fraga from this point on? What do you reckon? If that was you, how would you deal with that?
I mean, he's a professional driver. You know, he deals with the pressure all the time. He's just got to, keep his head down, battle it out, and finish to the end. It's, still got a couple more races to go. So,
I mean, now that you're kind of hanging out and kind of watching it from the other side, what's your best advice to everyone who's up on that stage now? Come on, you're the champion already. They want to be a champion. What's your top tip?
Just enjoy yourself. Have fun. I mean, we're all here for the same reason. We all want to enjoy the racing, and it's very competitive. But just have fun at the end of the day, and, it's anyone's game.
He's just way too chill about everything. It was like this yesterday, right after he won. It was just like, yeah, it's cool, just doing some driving, whatever. But that's maybe the key to being a champion. So thank you so much for chatting to us, Tara. That's great. Let's take a quick look at the schedule, what's coming up for the rest of today. We're about halfway through. We've got race 3 coming up, and then, of course, the final race as well. But don't forget, it's double points. So still everything to play for. Let's see if Fraga can, pull it back. Let's take a look at the next track that they're going to be racing on.
Who better to tell us about our next circuit, Monza, than the only Italian in the final, Giorgio Mangano. Giorgio, you must be excited to have your home track in the final.
Yes, of course, I'm excited. It's my home track. I've been there and I loved it. Of course, it's not the track where you can escape, but of course there are a lot of straights where you can have battles and overtakes.
But it makes it difficult, like you say, for you guys to actually make the difference.
Yes, even the slowest guys, they can catch up with the slipstream, so it's difficult, as I said, to escape and take the pace.
One thing we saw in the semi-finals was how critical the tyre wear can be. What's it like at Monza? I'm guessing with the long straights, not too bad?
Yeah, Monza is not a track where you wear a lot of the tires because of the straights, and the corners are very slow, so you can't wear the tire a lot.
Well, listen, Giorgio, I'm sure there's lots of Italian fans watching at home, but wishing you the best at Monza. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really historic racetrack. Another one located near the city of Monza, north of Milan, built in 1922. It holds the distinction of being the world's third purpose-built motor racing circuit after Brooklands in the UK and Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the USA. This is the 5.755 Grand Prix layout without the chicane on the front straight. So as Giorgio said there, fast, long straights and relatively slow corners that don't ordinarily wear tyres too bad. But this is Gran Turismo, so in terms of tyre strategy, the race here, the boys are going to have to contend with 14 times tyre wear. And again, they must use 2 or more options. However, look at that, only 0.6 seconds difference between the medium and the soft tyre. So a bit of a tricky one for the boys to choose in terms of tyres. Now, as we said at the very top of the show, if you missed it, in these Nations Cup races, the guys get allocated their cars. The cars for our third race here are Group 1, and something for everybody, really, in this group. Bit of a mixture, something for all ages, I think it's fair to say. We've got the LMP1 cars, the top class at Le Mans. Cars like the 919 Hybrid, which you might have seen earlier on. It's in the lobby here, driven by Brendan Hartley. Some older Group C cars from the 80s and 90s, like the Mazda 787B. Very little downforce, but high on top speed. And mixed in there, we've got some Gran Turismo Visions, like the McLaren and the Audi Vision here, which we've got in the arena, actually, just over there. And some non-hybrid cars as well, like the Peugeot 908, which lacks a little bit of the acceleration compared to the hybrid, but plenty of top speed as well. So lots of interest in this one. The racing is ramping up again. Let's go back to Chris and Jimmy.
Thank you, Matt. Well, I think it's time to actually look at how the points now look, because that was a big, big race, as we said. That could be a very pivotal moment in who walks away the champion today, of course, the inaugural champion. So why don't we take a look at the points, who is sitting where. I'm sure, Jimmy, you can help me talk us through it, because we did score points in that race, and here they are.
So you can see there, Igor Fraga's lead comes right down to 3 points. Yamanaka up to second, Lopez third now, Vakovsky still there in fourth position. Mick Hazal needs to really get a move on down in fifth, Yoshida sixth, Karatsa seventh, and Jeff Gallen in 8th. Then a bit further down the field, we have Patrick Blajan in 9th with 11 points. Portilla and Kokibon both with 9. Kokibon a lot lower than we thought he would be. Wong is in 12th, Paspillo 13th, Mangano 14th, Law 15th, and Nico Rubelar right down the bottom with only 3 points.
Right, so we've got Group 1 out next with Monza, no chicane. You tested this track earlier. I saw you having a go, just trying to get to grips and get used to what these guys are about to face. What did you make of the track? What car were you in?
I was in the Group C Nissan, so very fast car, not quite that quick out of the corners, but on the top speed-wise, absolute rocket. You're doing 340 Ks before breaking to the first chicane. Absolutely insane. Looking forward to seeing it in action.
Well, this is going to be a fantastic race. Race number 3, more points to be scored. Of course, having won that second race, going off pole position will be Tomoaki Yamanaka, now up to second in the point standings. Jorge Lopez will start in second place, starting from third, and potentially with a pretty good car here. Cody Latkovsky was told by some drivers that car should go very well. Igor Fraga starts in fourth place, having lost pole position at Interlagos. Patrick Blashan is down in fifth. Big mover in the last race, definitely watch for him in this one. Jeffrey Gallant goes off sixth place. He's sitting eighth in the standings at the moment. Adam Sasquillo is 13th, but moved forward well last time. Let's see if he can progress on that this time. Mick Hazal, as Jimmy said, needs to get a move on. Fifth at the moment, he starts 8th place. Shogo Yoshida, he's 6th overall at the moment, and he is 9th place in the Toyota. Then it is Giorgio Mangano on home soil 10th place for him on the grid. Karatsa starts in 11th place, disappointing second race. Let's see if he can make some ground in this one. Ryoto Kokipen really struggling today, the Asia Oceania Regional Final champion. Likewise, Nicholas Rubelar rounds out the field in terms of the points. 13th, needs to do something special. Likewise, Fabian Portia, who starts from 14th. Jonathan Wong starts in 15th place. Not the day for him we expected. And then rounding out the field, it is Yap Lam Law, 15th in the points for him at the moment. So we've gone pretty split on tyres here, half on softs, half on mediums, pretty much top 5 all on softs. Jeff Gallen, the first of the medium tyre runners. Well, Jimmy, it's going to be a 10-lap race. Why don't you talk us through the start? Monza, no chicane.
No chicane is the big detail here. With the chicane, I very much fancy myself in a hybrid car around here. But taking the chicane out, cars like the Group C cars, the Mazda 787B, the Sauber C9, the Nissan R92 there, they're all going to be very quick in terms of top end, and not having a chicane there means they can really use that down the straight. Now the hybrids are going to be fully charged on the first lap, so expect to see them shoot away but then be drawn back in by the cars behind. Yamanaka, will lead us away in that glorious Audi R18, the diesel tractor we call it, back on my own channel. And here we go then, 3, 2, 1, and here we go at Monza for race 3 of the FIA GT Championship World Final. Look at the hybrid. Yamanaka streaks away in the Audi R18 down towards where the first chicane would be. In the background, Lopez is already 1.5 seconds behind. Lukowski is gaining on Lopez. Fraga in the Sauber C9, he's going to come strong now, and there goes Koster around the outside. Fraga nowhere to go with that grunt of a Sauber C9. You can hear the rotary 787B of Jeff Gallen in the background, and now coming down to the first chicane, it is Yamanaka, Lukowski, Lopez, and I hear a shout go up from the Spanish commentary booth. Lopez's race is pretty much over before it starts, as is Adam Taswillo. He drops down the field.
There's going to be some investigations at least there. I could see that one coming from a mile off as they went. Oh, and a big incident in the background. Someone off into the gravel. I think Ryoto Kokiben was caught up, but I don't think he was the driver off in the gravel. It's Adam Taswillo who's off. Jimmy, talk us through the replay. This, I think we're about to see the Lopez incident.
Yeah, so here is Lopez on the outside, comes to the inside, then he gets tagged by Igor Fraga, who then is shoved by Jeff Gallen. About 4 cars into one apex don't really go, and that is the result. Yamanaka, look at the gap already now. We expected to see this car pull away at the start, but like Consequence, I didn't expect it to be this quick at the start. The gap already 3 seconds, but now that hybrid will be drained, so cars like the 908 and some of the Group C cars will come. Look who's up in 5th position, Mick Hazal in the Nissan. Watch this thing in a straight line. We have Shogo Yoshida there in the Toyota. Look at it, just reel in the LMP1. The Group C showing its might, goes to the inside. Thank you very much, says Mick Hazal. Absolutely rocketing around Curva Grande, and now up to the pack of Patrick Basham. This could be his out race if he keeps this up.
Well, Igor Fraga is on a recovery. He's up to 6th place, but he is under investigation, and we haven't seen yet that no penalties will be issued. So he still is under investigation. Igor Fraga, what is happening to Igor Fraga? Oh, well, there we go. No penalties issued. So he's going to have a huge sigh of relief when he sees that one. But he is in 6th place, now has a job to do to recover. Tomoaki Yamanaka is out front, and Fraga under pressure from Jonathan Wong, who will look to the outside, coming up towards Ascari. Can Wong get through? No, Fraga hangs on for the time being. Now we can see Lopez, I think, to the bottom left of your picture. He's up to 14th on a recovery drive. There's penalties for Karatsa and Kokiben, but Igor Fraga in the wars once again.
Now, this is where the interesting element of the race here comes. Mangalo goes to the inside of Jonathan Wong on the 919 hybrid, and Wong just gives me a little nudge through the parabolic. I'm not quite sure that's necessary, but Mangalo doesn't really care. He's off now. Again, watch the gap on your screen between Mick Hazal and Patrick Blajan. The Group C Nissan is an absolute beast in a straight line here, especially towards the top end, and he won't need inviting twice to pass Patrick Blajan. Let's get a camera up there, please, Mr. Race Director. Here's Mangalo in the meantime. He rarely does listen to us, actually. There is Mangala coming around curve at Grande right now. A very interesting looking Hyundai Vision car. Here is Ryuto Kokubun. Haven't spoken about him too much today. Up to 11th in the Jaguar, but really, Chris, not going well for our Asia Oceania regional champion.
No, it's really not. Of course, was coming into this as one of the three favourites, as one of the regional final champions, but Ryuto Kokubun at the moment doing the worst of all three of them. Let's go to that battle for second, of course. We've got Blashan in the chase of Latkovsky, but more importantly, Hizao trying to chase down Blashan. Hizao on the medium tyre as well. Fraga is only 9/10 behind that, and he is on the soft tyre. So Fraga, the one closing in on Hizao at the moment.
Now, after our mix-up with info in the last race, this confirmed only 2 compounds of tyres need to be used, which is why you're seeing mediums and softs all the way down the field there. Now again, Kokubun and Gallen both in the Group C machines, and you can hear that 787 coming from a mile back. The rotary powered car is just so recognisable as it comes blasting past. Now Igor Fraga has gone onto the back of Mick Hazan, and watch that speedo to the right. That's just going to keep on going, this Group C machine. 330 k's, 335 as we turn into Curva Grande. Try not to scrub the steering too much through here, don't lose too much speed. And look to the braking zone. About the 150 board for these guys. Heavy on the brakes, throw it to the inside. And Fraga has gone too deep. He's probably going to pick up a penalty now. And that's going to allow Yoshida back up into 5th place. What's happening with Igor Fraga?
Well, Igor Fraga is quite literally falling to pieces here. Never seen this from the Brazilian, and it was that pressure situation we were talking about. In the pressure of a racing situation, we hadn't seen Igor Fraga under that just yet. And now twice Fraga has made little mistakes that have led to him losing position. So Igor Fraga needs to dust himself down and try and get going once again. How's he going to be feeling, Jim? Have you ever been in a situation, have you ever been faced with a situation like this where things just don't seem to be working out and you're jumping down the field?
Pretty much every stream that I do, Chris, actually.
What do you do then?
I haven't found a way to stop it happening yet, but Igor needs to just calm down a bit. You know, he's a man that said he used to get very angry when he raced, but then tried to see to that, tried to calm himself down. We'll have a look at Richie before the race where he breathes deep and gets himself centred. He needs to think of that now. And actually, Igor Fraga going on to the hard compound of tyres. That is a move I did not expect.
No. Very interesting. Also into the pits is Mangano has gone on the medium. Lopez has gone to the medium. There's tyre strategy in the bottom left, so you can see the medium's around 0.6 of a second slower, the hard 2 seconds slower. So that makes that decision from Igor Fraga even more strange. They can use 2 or more types of tyres, so he can swap to the softs if he wants to, but he doesn't need to use all 3.
Now, a lot of people in chat saying no penalty for Fraga. He did lose time going over the chicane, so that's my reckoning.
He lost place.
That's why he didn't get a penalty there, did not gain an advantage. Oh, Patrick Blashan! What's happened?
He's come to a stop.
He stopped.
He's just come to a stop. Rubelar slowing down as well. Let's get a replay, Jimmy.
I'm just looking to the stage to see what happened. Here is Patrick Blashan, and the car just spins.
No, he spins.
What?
Well, he went wide,
I don't know what happened
didn't he?
there. He's kind of back up to speed, I think, but he's down to 15th place, which moves Latkovsky up into 2nd, Hizao into 3rd, and Yamanaka, our leader, comes into the pit lane, splits on the medium tyres, and is back out onto the circuit.
My guess with Blashan, Jimmy, is that he spun and then was trying to wait for a gap to get the car back round and going again. It's just a guess, but maybe that's why we saw him go all the way to the back.
Okay, interesting one there, but we'll come back to the race. Here we go. And you see the Toyota without that hybrid coming out the pit lane suffers massively compared to the Group C Nissan. But here is one man who has had everything go his way so far. Yamanaka leading by nearly 5 seconds, but Jonathan Wong, who has yet to pit, he did start in last place. Currently in 2nd. It's going all right for Jonathan, isn't it?
Yeah, right to the back of the field. He started literally at the back and up to 2nd. So he stayed out for the long run. He's kept out of trouble and Jonathan Wong could be picking up a very good result and a lot of points in this one if he stays roughly where he is after a stop. Now Latkovsky is third. This is the main focus on track at the moment, though. The battle for fifth place between Hizao, Gallen and Yoshida. Well, Gallen is yet to stop. Hizao and Yoshida have, so they're looking to get by ASAP, and Hizao's going to go through into Ascari. What about Yoshida? He should get through on the exit, and we should be expecting to see Gallen into the pits very shortly.
Now, the thing is, Chris, if Hizao finishes strong here, we have a double point race for our finale. It could be anybody's game. I thought coming into this, as did a lot of people, that Igor Fraga would have an easy job here today. But the Brazilian driver has just not delivered at this point.
No. We've got Jonathan Wong into the pits, by the way. Let's see how far he drops back. Hizao's now gone up to third. And we'll wait for all this to work itself out. But we do know Yamanaka is clear by 5.3 seconds, having stopped and gone to the medium tyre. Likewise, Latkovsky. Hizao is third, Yoshida fourth. Jonathan Wong has picked up a penalty in fifth place there. Then it is Mangano, Karatsa, Gokibun, Gallan and Lopez.
So if it finished as it was right now, then Yamanaka would have a 9-point advantage going into the final. Of course, with double points, he could still quite easily lose out, but that's a good place to be at this stage of the competition. Latkovsky is in second position, just behind. He would be on 29 points. Behind him, Mick Hizao would move up into fourth position in the championship rankings with 25 points. So still within a shout for our European champion.
And this is also going to set the grid for that final race, which is double points, as Jimmy said. And if there is a tie, it goes down to who is ahead on track. So this is a big, big moment in this. Yamanaka looking very good at the moment, but double points is the big thing in that final race.
We need to talk about Igor Fraga because he's pitted again for the medium tyre, so maybe he's getting his info from me in the last race and has tried the two-stop when only he needs to use the one-stop. We'll have to wait and see what's happened there, but regardless, the Brazilian now down to 11. Now here comes Jonathan Wong on Giorgio Mangano after serving a bounce. Look at the background, Karatsa in the Bugatti Veyron comes to the outside. Sorry, that isn't a Veyron, but it's a Bugatti of some sort. Look at it go to the outside. We'll go round to the left now for Curva Grande. They'll have to come back in. He might squeeze Jonathan Wong, though. Wong has the inside. Just about, but he's got nowhere to go right now. He's got the sixth string for Mangano. Karatsa's going to take sip, try and outbrake Wong. Whoa. And Wong is all sorts of sideways into the chicane, and they just about get through. Wong takes the place. How did he manage that?
Well, how did he hold on to that side, drifting all the way into and then through the corner. Fantastic driving there from Jonathan Wong on those soft tyres. He's now going to go after Mangano, who's on the medium tyres ahead. So Jonathan Wong staring at a top 5 finish here and a top 5 place on the grid for that final race. This a little bit further back, Yatlam Law and Adam Siswillo, two drivers who are not having a good day at the office whatsoever. Now let's have a look at the leader. We've got Tomoaki Yamanaka leading by 5.8 seconds. We're going to go into now the Italian commentators, of course, Giorgio Mangano up to 5th.
Era ed è ancora ovviamente ecco qua intanto ho inquadrato il nostro Giorgio Mangano
che è tallonato
da Wong che in questo momento lo passa
ha più spunto, però adesso c'è ancora l'effetto scia, vediamo se da questo camera car Giorgio riesce a prendere la scia.
Guardalo
vai Giorgio con
guardalo
vai e riprende ancora una volta la quinta posizione.
Accesi i porti bruciatori, Giorgio Mangano accesi i porti bruciatori ed è andato, mamma mia ragazzi.
In uscita di curva la Hyundai di Giorgio non è così rapida nel prendere giri, ma poi sull'allungo ce la fa. Dai Giorgino.
Intanto sta riscalando faticosamente, ahimè, o meglio, ai lunghi.
Great to hear from our Italian commentators there. Of course, big fans of Giorgio Mangano, as you expect, but they aren't going to like this. Jonathan Wong goes round the outside of the first Lesmo, somehow gets that done. Kind of glad we can't hear the Italians now, because I think there'll be some choice words over there.
Yeah, we cut away at just the right time, it seems. Now we are getting into the business end of the World Finals here, And of course, we do have one more race after this, but Yamanaka is really doing a good job out front. Jonathan Wong up to 5th place, not on those soft tyres, so should be expected to see him going past Mangano. He won't make any more places in this race unless there is huge drama up ahead. Igor Fraga remains in 11th. He has caught up to the back of Lopez. Of course, them two had a bit of a ding-dong earlier in the race. Lopez trying to recover, so they'll come to wars once again. There is Karatsa in 7th place, and then we have Ryoto Kokubun there in 8th. We are now going on to the final lap of the race. Yamanaka extending his lead even more, Jimmy. He's now up to almost 7 seconds.
Here comes Ryoto Kokubun and that beautiful XJR9. Le Mans spec goes up the inside of Karatsa and Assuran like he's absolutely standing still. The grunt there of the V12 Jaguar as it flies down to the second, well, the first chicane here in this round, I guess. Now really barreling in on Giorgio Mangano. It's not been a great competition so far for Ryoto Kokubun, so he's looking to try and make up as many places as he can going into the last round. And what a beautiful car to do it in, though. Makes a small mistake coming out of the second Lesmo. He might have the front to catch and pass Mangano. Let's wait and see. He's on the soft tyres, so he's going to have the advantage in the corners too.
Well, out front though, Yamanaka only has 1 corner remaining, and is he putting one hand on that World Finals trophy? Here comes Tomoaki Yamanaka. He is about to take victory in race number 3. Fantastic performance. The finish line awaits. Yamanaka takes victory in race number 3. Fantastic driving from him. 7.5 seconds behind. Here it's Cody Nikola Latkovsky, well in contention for overall victory as well. Mick Hazal has brought himself back into play with that 3rd place. Shogo Yoshida 4th, and then 5th place is Jonathan Wong.
Jonathan Wong started last, Chris. Up to 5th position, a great performance for him. Mangano 6th, Kokubun ended up in 7th, Karatsa 8th, Gallen 9th, Braga 10th position.
Good to see good sportsmanship there. Cody Nikola Latkovsky straight out the rig over to Tomoaki Yamanaka, a handshake between the pair. I think they know they're about to go battle for the world final title. So that final race awaits, Jimmy. It's going to be crunch time, and Igor Fraga going to be even in a worse position now. Down the field once again, that we know the grid now having that result. What's your thoughts ahead of that final race and reflection on what we've just seen?
I think that this wasn't in Fraga's plan, so to speak. Here is the replay. Here is Igor Fraga going into the first chicane. And here is the off-board footage. Actually ran into the back of Lopez. Got a nice big punt there from Jeff Gallen. And Lopez, of course, battered off into the gravel track. Here's his reaction. Looks a lot calmer than I'd be, I tell you that now.
Yes, indeed. This was a 5th place Igor Fraga, and that was a big mistake going into the first chicane. Patrick Blashan, this was his spin, so got on the gravel and spun round and facing the wrong way and dropped all the way to 15th as a result of that.
From 3rd, and here was Giorgio Mangano and Jonathan Wong having a fantastic fight Hyundai on Porsche 919 Hybrid. Of course, the 919 Hybrid a lot better out of the corners. And here he was going round the outside of Giorgio Mangano at the first Lesmo. Great move there from Jonathan Wong. But it was Yamanaka, of course, who came across the line to take the 2nd race victory in a row in this FIA GT Championship World Final, looking very, very strong for the final race.
Yeah, trying to keep calm at the same time, though, wasn't he, Tomoaki Yamanaka? As much as he's happy, he knows that there's still one more race to go, and it's going to be double points, of course, as well. So we're getting to the point standings, of course, for you very, very shortly. That last race is going to be in the X2014 cars as well at Le Mans. So that is going to be fantastic stuff.
Definitely. Equal playing field, of course, for our drivers, and we're very close coming in on points. They'll come onto a screen very shortly. Not really quite sure what to expect here. We know Igor Fraga is very strong in that X2014, given his performance at previous events. But it's a car that doesn't suit everybody. It's a high downforce car. You need to really have that reaction time for that car. But if anyone's got it, it's going to be our drivers. And again, Yamanaka in a great position.
And talking of this race, was there any cars that surprised you? Of course, drivers, I think we know that where the surprises came from there. But what about cars?
I must say, although the Group C cars had a bit of an easier time with this zero chicane Monza, so to speak, I did not expect them to be anywhere near the front. But Mick Hazal dragging that R92 up into third position. Probably my driver of the race, I think. Actually, sorry, outside of that, he was my second driver of the race. My first, Jonathan Wong.
yeah.
Great performance by him. Fifth position from last.
And I think we're seeing the